A Houston man tonight is taking on the city of Houston. He is suing, saying he has the constitutional right to feed the homeless this Thanksgiving and any other day that he chooses.
Fox 26's Damalie Keith is live at Houston City Hall with more details on this. Damalie?
Yeah, you may remember the charitable feeding ban went into effect a few years ago, making it illegal to feed the homeless. Well, Philip Paul Bryant says it shouldn't be against the law to give food to someone in need. He says it should be the other way around, a crime not to give.
Of just trying to make sure a fellow human doesn't starve.
It sounds simple enough.
We aren't asking for anything else than to be able to give food to those that are less fortunate. Please let us do it.
Houston City Council members say they passed the charitable feeding ban to ensure homeless people receive food prepared under health code regulations, and so those in need will turn to an organization to eat, so they will receive other resources, services, and shelter as well.
Many of them take probably no more than 150 people. How many homeless are there? You cannot fit all the homeless into the shelters.
We pursued this lawsuit because we felt the city was trying to disenfringe not only on the less fortunate, but also trying to discourage good people, good Samaritans from doing the right thing.
It's Thanksgiving, and it's the whole purpose of this holiday is to share food and eat. Let us practice our religion. Let us follow our faith. That's all we're asking.
If someone doesn't give them food, they won't have food to eat that night.
Bryant says a number of groups wanting to set up outdoors and feed the homeless this Thanksgiving are discouraged for fear of being punished by the police.
There's going to be a lot of people who are on that border of saying, yeah, do we feed them, do we not feed them, do we want to go to jail, do we want to get a ticket?
Now, those who want to gather and feed the homeless have to first get permission from the city, and depending on where you plan to set up, you'll have to get permission from the property owner as well. There is a $500 fine for violating the ban, and you could go to jail if you don't pay that fine. We're live in downtown Houston. I'm Damalie Keith, Fox 26 News.
Did you suffer property damage during Hurricane Harvey only to have your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your insurance company did you wrong because they didn't pay for your claim, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights. Call me today, 833-3HARVEY. Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
A local pastor is fed up, and he's challenging the Houston Homeless Feeding Ordinance.
And the city requires you to get a permit if you are going to share food. He can't get a permit because he doesn't know where he's going to share food.
Philip Paul Bryant regularly keeps cans of tuna and water bottles in his car to hand out to homeless people. But under the current city ordinance, he's breaking the law. His attorney says Bryant does this because his faith teaches him to help the less fortunate.
This law that's in place, it's a mean-spirited law. It's against, charity. It's against kindness. It's against doing the right thing.
Eric Dick says they plan to fight this till the mayor and city officials overturn what some believe is a misguided ordinance.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights.
Call the Dick Law Firm now at 1-833-3HARVEY.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
Breaking the law, one meal at a time, feeding the homeless.
It is morally wrong to make it a crime to give food.
A Houston man who feeds the homeless because of his faith is suing the city, challenging the established charitable feeding ban. The often debated ordinance has banned sharing food in public groups of more than 5 people without city permission since 2012.
The city says you can give food to 5 people, not 6. What are you supposed to tell the 6th person? I met my quota today?
The city wants to dismiss Philip Paul Bryant's lawsuit.
That's a crime? What does this world come to? It's a sad day whenever trying to prevent a fellow human from starving is a crime.
The city says the ordinance aims to curb trespassing and littering, both of which were already prohibited in the municipal code prior to the passing of the ordinance. While some Houstonians are in support of the lawsuit,
I really hope he wins his case, and I really hope they lift those sanctions so we can be able to give more to the needy.
So if you're willing to help more than 5 homeless people, you should be able to do that.
Some even challenge the city's support of their citizens.
The city isn't going to take care of their homeless people. That's their people. Somebody got to take care of them. So why can't we take care of them?
A question Houstonians will continue to ask as long as the ban remains.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Hi everybody, about to start the radio show in a few minutes. I'll call in a little bit later. If you want to chat with me, just, write some stuff.
You can tell now at the end of the show, my boy, it's hoarse, it's dry, then I got to yell for the Longhorn game tonight. Oh my God. Okay. The less is more. The less I can talk to.
So whenever Chris gets here, he's going to text me. I need you to run. We'll get him at the end of this first segment.
Okay.
I'm here for you.
He confirmed he's going to be here?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to put as many links as I can on.
Is he up for re-election right now?
He is.
And that includes a lot of things that we could talk about.
I didn't see the extra comment that we had about him last week, did you? I didn't see the comment we had about him last week.
I had a good comment about him. He's a good guy.
Sometimes the value of the funds is about 25% to 40%.
Okay.
You want to sell that building? Do it now. I will have a link to the actual. I already put a link to that. Price. And then the the dongle, the new ones, they don't come with the dongle, the external adapter to plug your wired headphones in. You're going to buy that for $9. And also the battery prices. I would recommend, if you have older iPhone, and you think your battery's weakening, do it before January 1st. So you've got about 3 months or so, 3.5 months or so. Because Apple quietly, they didn't want to talk about this earlier this week, but they raised the iPhone replacement battery prices from $29 up to $49, up to $69 in some places. So go ahead and get your battery replaced. With that, I also want to point you to another one of my sub technology sites. It is called iHeartVehicles.com. And if you want the latest and greatest on some of the new vehicles, if you're looking for a new car, a new truck, I just updated some things. So I had the Toyota Highlander, really cool Lexus 500, LS 500H, cool $103,000 I was doing in a few weeks ago. This week I'm in a Fiat 500, little four-door Fiat type of thing, which is pretty sexy too. So I do cover the car industry, the tech industry, the carbon industry, the travel industry, and of course, some of the high-tech industry too. With that, we're going to start the sign-off process. Shannon, thank you so much for keeping us on the air. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody out there, be safe. If you have questions, email me at hightechdexon.com. You can find Michael Garfield. And you can get me here every Saturday on air. And for some reason, we get bumped for radio for a football game, which we have to carry on air. You can go online. That's why you get the iHeartRadio app. And you can listen to me at your heart's content through the podcast. For all of us who have been part of the show, we do thank you for tuning in. My name is Garth. The show is officially over.
It's Saturday, September 15th. What's new today on the free iHeartRadio app? iHeartRadio! There's still time to join us VIP style at our iHeartRadio Music Festival in Vegas. Just listen to iHeartRadio Music Festival Radio in the app, and you're automatically entered. Plus, football's back. Check out our Jock Jams playlist to get all the stadium anthems with one tap. And don't forget, you've always got this station in your pocket, streaming 24/7 on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio! All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free. For window replacement you can trust, visit GulfCoastWindows.com.
Wood Whisperer Video and find out who wins our brand new F-150 Super Crunch Rock. Saturday, September 15th, 6 to 8 p.m. Only at Planet Ford on 59 and Elm.
KPRC in Houston.
An iHeart radio station.
From the Gallery Furniture Made in America Studios. Welcome to KPRC 950.
I didn't push anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't touch anything. Okay, I don't know why. It's all quiet here. The engineer hadn't told me what's going on, but we should be starting soon. So our guest today is going to be Chris Daniel, and I have Philip Paul Bryant, who's also going to be here too. He's co-hosting with me. He's playing wingman, guys. Oh, hey. Hey, everybody. We're waiting on Chris Daniel. He's notoriously late, the district clerk. This is where he showed me it was, if I could see. Okay, we'll talk about Hurricane Florence for a while. Just general hurricane season, kind of the hurricanes that are going on. I'm going to talk about, homeowners insurance to kind of tied with that, the type of policies you want insurance companies to avoid. Talk about like Jerry Patterson opposing George P. Bush, Beto and Willie Nelson, and we're going to see what's going on with the district clerk in Harris County and talk about a number of other subjects. It's gone quiet. Interesting. Oh, wait, hold on. We can talk to her. Let me remember how to do this. Hold on. There's a way to talk to her through this.
I have you in queue right now,
Okay.
so I can hear you.
Okay, cool. No, everything okay?
Yeah,
We just don't. We don't hear anything over here.
Because it is in automation right now, and then as soon as we hit that first spot block, that first 1 minute commercial segment, then you're gonna hear it.
Cool. Then I'm just gonna hang out and just do what you say to do. Thank you. I was talking to the engineer guys. That's who I was talking to because it just got real quiet here. I was confused. I'm still learning this stuff.
Today we're going to be talking about hurricane preparedness. We're here at the Eric Dick Show. We're live in the studio here. It's going to be fun. Special guest Chris Daniels, Harris County clerk, district clerk. So we're going to be talking about some disaster stuff. Stay tuned. This is Eric Dick Show live. Okay. See you guys right there.
Yeah, man. Look.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
Hurricane Harvey may be the most costly storm in history. And if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, this is America. We have rights. You have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. There's always hope. Call me today at 833-3HARVEY.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks. Looks like Florence is just it's a major flood.
Yeah.
That's really done a lot of damage.
Oh,
there we are.
Traffic Center. Inbound side of the Southwest Freeway around Wesleyan. The backup stretching now from the West Park Tollway split. We also have heavy traffic on the west end moving northbound. That backup now stretching almost from Briar Forest, all due to the closure north of the Katy Freeway. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is brought to you by Gallery Furniture.
Mattress Mac Gallery Furniture saying you can't mark those big games on a frustrating backlog set. Go out there, other furniture stores, backlog set. Come to Gallery Furniture.
Hey,
fabric or leather upholstered furniture by Solid Furniture made in America. Gallery Furniture delivers today.
This is Matt Thomas. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, you need professional help. Top Tax Defenders. If you receive a letter from the IRS, don't ignore it. If you're being audited, have years of unfiled tax returns, or worse yet, you are being issued a wage garnishment or bank levy, you need Top Tax Defenders.
It's simply too risky to fight the IRS without the knowledge and experience of top tax defenders and their attorneys and tax specialists. Call them now, 713-489-7792. That's 713-489-7792 or online, toptaxdefenders.com.
Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on the Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
When you've got big problems, you need to have a big, you need Eric Dick, homeowner insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education. This is the Eric Dick Show.
All right, folks, I'm back for more, back for a lot of exciting worlds of lawyerism, politics, insurance law, and just all around, just whatever we feel like talking about, I guess. I have sitting with me today Philip Paul Bryant of Kojic Pack and many businesses.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. Just jumping in, I'm a homeowner's insurance attorney, obviously, elected to the Harris County Department of Education, which most people don't even know exists. It's really a fascinating organization, which we should talk about sometime. And so Hurricane Florence, that hit, and it hit big.
Yeah.
It looks like it was reduced from a Cat 5 with just crazy windstorms, or maybe Cat 4 down to a Cat 1. But the big thing there, so you got 100-mile-an-hour winds. You got this just gigantic, like flooding event where you had waves, 80-foot waves, just enormous waves kind of coming through.
I think they said nearly 10 trillion gallons of water is going to be coming in.
Yeah, just a crazy amount of water coming in. And so, we experienced a heavy flooding event here as well with Hurricane Harvey. But so what I'd like to kind of talk about a little bit is what people don't realize is there's different types of kind of insurance that kind of play here when you have a flood event like we did have with Harvey and also with Florence. Florence seems like it's going to be just, if it's possible, worse flooding event than we had here with Harvey. But it's clear that it's gonna be bad, and I'm sorry for everyone out there having to go through that. But so what we can kind of talk about a little bit is your basic different types of policies, where you have your homeowner's insurance, your typical your windstorm, fire, theft, that type of insurance. That's where you see normally advertised with your State Farm, Farmers, AAA, what have you. Then you also have NFIP, which is your National Flood Insurance Program. Now that's an interesting type of policy, and that is it's a government kind of funded, subsidized technically, which there gets all sorts of ethical and interesting questions on whether or not we should subsidize insurance. And there's a long history with NFIP. And in Texas and in other coastal regions, you have like some type of government funded or even government backed windstorm insurance, which we have Texas windstorm insurance. And there's some serious problems we've been having with Texas windstorm insurance since Hurricane Harvey. But looking at Florence, like it looks like it's going to be bad. I mean, Philip, did you see any of the articles or where how big this storm was? Because it was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty scary. And obviously coming out of Harvey last year, so we're just I don't know if there's a such thing as hurricane PTSD, but just seeing water and seeing all this stuff again just kind of scares you, and it's also kind of since we did experience it here firsthand last year, it kind of makes us also want to kind of reach out, donate some stuff. A lot of us have extra clothes and shoes and toiletries, and so I from the people I've been speaking with, just want to know how they can be involved and what they can do to try to help the Carolinas.
That's right. So, we got flooded really bad, and a person that really did a good job with the flooding in Harris County, we actually have here today, Chris Daniel, and he can tell us all about the flooding and just the craziness.
Harris County District Clerk.
That is Harris County District Clerk.
10 years, 100 years now, man. He's
about 7.5, 8 years. And Eric, it's a real pleasure as your Harris County District Clerk to be here today, especially on your new radio program.
Well, it's great for you to be here, and of all days, a day not far from whenever Harvey hit, and when we had this horrible tragedy in the Carolinas. And I want to thank you very much because you did such a good job dealing with all the flooding in Harris County that I don't think anybody wanted, and no one wanted to deal with that job. And you did such a good job with that.
Well, I appreciate that. And there's a lot of backstory that never got told by the media, not because they weren't trying to cover it, but because there were so many heroes and unsung heroes of Harvey. To put it in context for the listeners, as a native Houstonian, I've been personally flooded twice in the city of Jersey Village in 1998 and again in Tropical Storm Allison in 2001. And during Harvey, my own mother lost everything in her home in Friendswood as 5 feet of water descended into her house. And it is an unfortunate experience of mine to have to deal with flooding in Houston, especially with the Memorial Day flood and the Tax Day flood, and how we practiced our disaster plans from both those floods and managed the courthouse and managed the dockets and managed canceling jury service and getting the word out to the public that, hey, do not drive into a high water, turn around, don't drown at the courthouse. And all that prepared us for Harvey so that when other agencies had not yet practiced their disaster plan, we were already set up days before with emergency computers and equipments and generators in the various places where we were supposed to be for emergency court.
Well, you guys still, sorry, Eric, but you guys still have a lot of house guests as a result of Hurricane Harvey. I know the criminal court judges and team is hanging out in your building. How does that feel, and what's the plan there?
It's a new normal, and we are all getting along now. There were some growing pains initially. I mean, let's be honest. We had one judge try to throw another judge in jail for not getting off the bench fast enough.
Wow.
And we had some other judges basically kick the DA's office out of their suite area into the hallway. And then another judge come back and says, no, you can't be out in the hallway, both claiming fire code violations. But it is a new normal. We are now getting along fine. And unfortunately, it is predicted that not till the middle towards end of 2020 will we be back in that particular building. But when we do get back into that building fully, we're going to have a whole bunch of new elevators, a whole bunch of more elevators, more space in general because the sheriff is not really moving back into that building. And it's going to be a great facility going forward.
So just a couple things. One, I think would be important for the listeners is to explain what the district clerk does, because I think a lot of people have no clue what Harris County District Clerk is.
The district clerk's office is a statutory office that was created in response to the growth needed in Texas. The basic founding fathers of Texas had your basic 6 or 7 offices: treasurer, sheriff, county clerk, county judge, et cetera, et cetera. But as time progressed, it was very clear you needed more courts. So they created state district courts, your old-fashioned circuit courts where folks would ride on horse and buggy from county to county. And then you had to have a clerk to keep those records. In all other states, the title would be clerk of the court. In Texas, it's the district clerk for the district judges.
Cool. And so your role, currently as a district clerk, what kind of do you do day to day?
Call me the traffic cop, if you will, of all filings going in and out of the courthouse. So when Mr. Dick yourself files something in our courthouse, you would either file that electronically, preferably, or by paper, and we would accept it and then hand it off to a randomly assigned judge for it to then proceed judicially. And then the judge would then assign electronically, hopefully, his order at the end of the case, and you would have an entire file that would normally be paper, by the way, now electronic for anybody to use, view, etc. And that not only saves taxpayer money long term, but it makes it faster and easier, better for justice to proceed. But I also handle, and very unpopular duty, by the way, but a basic constitutional duty, your fundamental right to serve on jury duty here in Harris County.
Oh boy, I bet you're popular, everywhere you go.
Unpopular for somebody in Harris County at least once every 3 years. Now, you'd be surprised how many people want to serve and want to be on a jury. And as time goes forward, we're going to continue to implement technology to make that faster, easier, and better as well. The other major function that we do, by the way, that most people don't realize is we do passports.
Well, that's excellent. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about a lot of great stuff with Chris Daniel. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Eric Dick and Philip Paul Bryant's
wingman.
He's wingman in it today. Thanks, guys. I'm still learning the triggers. She was trying to tell us I wouldn't.
And then we can keep talking about the flood. We can talk about how.
Yeah, we'll talk about the flood for a while. We got a bit of time. I wanted to kind of go into some other stuff. They want me to talk about Prop B, which I want to talk about Prop B anyway. And then we can talk about some political stuff too. Like I liked what was going on with Patterson and Bush. I think that's kind of interesting. At least deserves discussion.
Sure.
Sure. Just run into it. And we got a good Facebook Live audience going.
The family members of veterans, the supporters of veterans. I want to thank all you small businesses out
there. Oh man! So you made it.
Whether you got cash or
well, that 16 curve. Once I got trapped, and doing that one exit, was toast.
That's a weekend too. Yeah, it's bad. It's worth it. With PTSD, have a place to go.
So they let you in. They just let you right in.
It's 877-717-PTSD. That's 877-717-7870. 877-717-PTSD. Veterans.
Hey, Philip, are you going live as well? Cool.
We're all behind you. We're all here from you. There is an answer. Call Camp Hope. It's free to you. 877-717-PTSD.
This is your opponent, and I think it's important that you know your rights.
Have they doing anything? They just
sat next to me today at the Delta Sigma Theta event.
You have the right to call me for free consultation.
It seemed pretty serious.
7 rights.
Shouldn't have any money. So she's relying on.
Don't let your homeowners insurance company take advantage of you.
Oh, you never know what's going to happen.
833-7 rights.
As your homeowner's insurance,
you never know what's going to happen. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? You never know what's going to happen. I think we can talk about that some.
Well, occasionally I like to stop and just say thanks.
And you've done, to be fair,
for us.
Up and down, left
Our
and right.
friends at US Coins have been sponsoring the show.
I'm not saying you are, but what we can talk about is like the connection you've done, use social media, interact more with all the lawyers,
you are selling your coins,
use their information, family,
US Coins,
kind of try to
coming in,
change.
you're bragging on the show, and we appreciate it. You're having a great experience. US Coins, I-10 outside the loop. 713-464-6860.
Come on, yeah, we're piloting that right now with David Sparscore. You want me to talk about that? Yeah.
Tax defenders. If you receive a letter
E-resets and e-hearings.
If you're being audited, have years of unfiled tax returns, or worse yet, you're being issued a wage garnishment or bank levy using top tax defenders. It's simply too risky to fight the IRS without the knowledge and experience of top tax defenders and their attorneys and tax specialists. Call them now, 713-489-7792. That's 713-489-7792 or online, toptaxdefenders.com.
Try new endless pan pizzas at Seasons, available in both Meat Eater and Supreme. Now
are we allowed to talk about the Texas Lawyer Facebook page since that's not political?
We talk about politics, that's fine. That might be instead of Burgess. She wants to come up here. She can. I don't care. I'll talk to Marilyn. What? They're looking at me. What are you guys trying to tell me?
Should we be talking right now?
No, I was just playing on the internet, talking to all my friends on Facebook. That's what I was doing. Anyway, so we're back. We're back with my radio show, and Philip Paul Bryant is helping me out today. He is just a fantastic go-getter, and our special guest today is the District clerk,
The one and only.
and Chris Daniel. What we're talking about is how Hurricane Harvey really devastated Houston. But what I'd like to talk about is some of the great things that Chris Daniel has done with the role as district clerk, made kind of the office more accessible to fellow lawyers. He's been, to be fair, he's been just a fantastic district clerk. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, he really has tried, and I can tell. But so,
have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
Hurricane Harvey may be the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, this is America. We have rights. You have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3-HARVEY. That's 833-3-HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. There's always hope. Call me today at 833-3-HARVEY.
A Houstonian claiming his religious freedom is being denied might soon see his lawsuit against the city dismissed.
And it appeared that Judge Kyle Carter was thinking about dismissing the case, saying that Philip doesn't have standing.
Philip Paul Bryant filed a lawsuit in 2017 claiming his religious rights to charitable giving were being infringed upon by a 2012 Houston Feeding the Homeless ordinance. In the city of Houston, you can give 5 homeless people a sandwich, but that 6th sandwich, that's the one that will cost you.
Could be fined $500 to $2,000, or you could even take the risk with going to jail.
According to his attorney, Eric Dick, Bryant's case may not find a home in Harris County Civil Court.
They're saying that my client, he waited over a year to file a lawsuit since he found out about the law. If people just found out about the law and they want to sue the city for this illegal act, I'm happy to represent them for free. I think that it's a mean world whenever acts of charity are criminal.
To be fair, the ordinance doesn't outright ban the giving of food to the homeless. It just creates a lot of hurdles to jump through to do it lawfully.
My children are a big deal in this, and teaching them how to give to the community. If they want to make 10 sack lunches and go hand them around downtown Houston, I shouldn't have to go to my government office in order to obtain permission just to give those sandwiches.
Tell me, Chris, about all the stuff you've done.
Sure. So electronic courts, for example, started as a pilot program in 2002 under Charles Bacteries with 2 basic courts, and was expanded under subsequent district clerks up to 8 courts with a few permissible courts. And under our administration, we went totally electronic in all civil courts. By the time the mandates came down for family courts to go electronic, we were already halfway there, and by 2015, all family courts were electronic. And with that, we had another mandate come down by the Texas Supreme Court that we need to have criminal courts electronic, with the exception of juvenile.
And that the criminal courts, that you're talking about criminal discovery, which is kind of you've just completely opened the door, which is kind of a good thing, I think. But so tell me about the criminal discovery.
Well, through our website, as you're tied to the case as an attorney, you can now get directly from the DA's office all their electronic discovery videos, DWI videos in particular, and the whole purpose is to make it faster, easier, better for the attorneys to represent their clients and seek justice.
Now, what's interesting, I kind of want to give a little backstory here, is so when I started practicing law about 10 years ago, I did a number of criminal cases. How you used to get your files, you'd have to, and usually the DA would freely give you their stuff, but sometimes they really didn't have to. And you could serve them discovery. So you couldn't just mail them that. You'd have to go to the court, kind of file something at the courthouse. So you'd have to either wait for a hearing or actually drive down there, file this stuff. And it was really a kind of a pain. A pain, where to do any type of discovery. But that's gone now. So now attorneys, doing criminal defense work in their comfort of their own home in their pajamas at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever time. They can e-file their discovery to the the DA's office, and it's a complete different world. And we aren't we may have been. Are there other counties that do this?
No, in fact, Fort Worth and Dallas were trying to do something along these lines, and the best they could do was get the charging instruments online, which is also part of our ongoing process, because not only did the Supreme Court mandate that something be filed electronically into the case, but we recognized that to be totally electronic, we had to have all facets of justice electronic. That includes e-warrants, e-subpoenas, e-citations, and so on and so on.
So I just want to kind of step back. You're saying no other county in Texas out of the 254 counties does electronic discovery for criminal cases?
Not that to my knowledge. Most counties are accepting electronic filings per se, and then going behind the filings back and printing it out on a printer and sticking it in the paper file, which defeats the whole purpose of electronic filing. The goal is to not only be faster, easier, better, and more indexed so that the attorneys can do a basic Google search on their own case and find rapidly what they need to represent their client, but to save taxpayer money.
And be environmentally friendly as well.
Well, that's a token benefit, because when you're saving trees, you're also not having to pay for all that toner and printers and paper and so on and so on, plus personnel.
Well, it just makes basic sense. Easier access to justice, costs people less money.
But it's also a safety issue. When we implemented e-subpoenas, that saved 32 positions for the sheriff's office to then put back into the courtroom as bailiffs that no longer had to process subpoenas, because it was a automated electronic process. And that came vital, especially after Harvey, where we were doubled up in the courthouse.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, you've really done a good job there. So how about like where you've tied in social media to the district clerk's office? Why don't you talk?
I have a love-hate relationship with social media. My first race was for the Board of Trustees for Lone Star College System, of which I won, and I beat the board chairman by using a little-known website called MySpace. And MySpace was revolutionary at that time. And now we're having Facebook and Twitter and so forth, and I have attorneys even contact me on LinkedIn and Nextdoor, the app. And what we do with all that is when they contact me, I personally respond. We get their email address, and we get them funneled to the right location to get their problem resolved. And the beauty of that is that, especially on the Texas Lawyer Forum on Facebook, the various groups and pages, they're able to not only get their question answered, but help other lawyers who might have a similar question get their question answered. It's not always the answer they want to hear. For example, there's a snafu going on right now with sensitive data documents, where the Texas Supreme Court has asininely created a category of sensitive data, where when you file something electronically, and I'm sorry to get technical, audience, but when you file something electronically and you market sensitive data to protect your client's best interest, well, guess what? We're not allowed to show that online at all. That became such a problem because if Eric files something, he knows he files something and I can't show it. How do we explain that? So we created an electronic index that at least showed that it had been filed, but you still had to download and view elsewhere. You couldn't view it online. And that has created a whole bunch of headaches for lawyers out there with this new restricted category. But again, that's just trying to solve the Supreme Court's problem for them.
Well, it sounds like you've done the best you can do. Yeah, so
he also implemented passports in his building, because that wasn't done before under I think Jackson.
That wasn't done under any district clerk in Texas, except for in Harris County, except for the surrounding counties. And so we decided to take the bull by the horns and say, look, Stan's right here with his birth certificates. Why can't we just finish the gap and come up with a passport service? I'm sorry, the post office has set the bar so low that when we get these comment cards coming in about how wonderful we are, it's like, well, it's a no-brainer. We want to serve you, public. We want you to come in and have the best experience possible while you're already downtown for an unfortunate reason in court, or to get a birth certificate, a marriage license, a DBA for your new business, a liquor license for that kind of business, or you're serving jury duty. Come on down anyway and get your passport. Get a new passport, get it renewed. And oh, by the way, we go through Philadelphia instead of Baltimore, and therefore our passports are processed faster. And therefore it takes an average of about 14 business days instead of 4 to 6 weeks to get your passport back.
One other question. I know a lot of viewers are wanting to know: is there something that that can be done about those lines in the morning to get into the court? And I assume
Yes.
it's a lot of it
Yes.
is because of the criminal court being combined.
Correct. Now, once we're back in the jury assembly building, which unfortunately became an unnecessary 11-foot deep swimming pool during Harvey, once we're back in that building, a lot of those lines will go away automatically. And it has a beautiful remodel set, or it has its own kiosks and its own covered entryway. But Constable Precinct 1, Alan Rosen, actually handles the security that comes in and out of the courthouse. And he has been piloting programs to put people through the other courthouse security doors so that they're not having to necessarily bottleneck right there at the front door. But they could go to the juvenile building, or they can go to other buildings where there are metal detectors. We can't get rid of the metal detectors. We've got to keep our judges and our lawyers safe. We're dealing with a lot of hot topics at the courthouse: divorces, criminal cases, etc. And we need to keep everybody safe.
Feeding the homeless.
Feeding the homeless. But at the end of the day, thankfully, Constable Rosen is working hand in hand with our office to pilot these different ways to get people funneled into the courthouse through other buildings.
Sure. We're going to take a break.
That's that music.
Yeah, that's the music. They're giving me a hint. This is Eric Dick. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Chris Daniel and Philip Paul Bryant's right here with me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Too fast? Too much?
No, that's fine.
Wasn't too technical, was it, Brian?
Yeah.
Some people.
Are you still talking about MySpace? You're talking about what dial-up internet back then?
Tom was a fan, man.
Yeah, you just talking to close your MySpace account, by the way.
Is it still up? I thought I deleted it. I thought I deleted it 10 years ago.
Oh man, I never had a MySpace. That was for musicians.
Back on Facebook Live.
I'm gonna talk some.
Feeding Rocks. Can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding Rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign a petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding Rocks.
A lot of good people
At Lone Star Chevy,
watching.
save $15,000 on brand new 2018
What they want. I put the number.
Silverado LT Crew
I put it on the
today
Facebook.
at LoneStarChevrolet.com.
You guys want to call in? Call in.
At 298
Let's go. Let's talk about maybe. Let's talk about politics a little bit.
Hey, this is Mario Lopez. So I'm planning to celebrate.
There's a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. A lot of juicy stuff to talk about.
Just say that I don't drink and drive. It's just not worth it. Because the DWI will cost you up to $17,000.
We had the Lincoln today in the Yes to Spotters parade.
You'd also lose your license. So plan
We're talking about
for the Monopoly car that we use in all our parades.
Go to jail. So message from TechStop.
And I had a parade today. I had a block walk kickoff, and I had this candidate forum. And now y'all.
Just hustling. Hustling. It is grinding.
I've been hustling.
Been up till what, 7 in the morning? Run around.
You talking local, state, or national politics?
I want to talk about Jerry Patterson, where he's a Republican and he endorsed George B. Bush's opponent. And the reason why and all that, I think that's kind of interesting. Is at least people were talking about that. I'd also like to talk about a lot of people are upset that Willie Nelson's playing for Beto. And just kind of, man, I think Cruz is going to win that. I'm voting for Cruz, but that's an interesting. I think there's something there, at least interesting.
Disclaimer: Geico cannot guarantee you will be as happy as a clam. Unquote. The Geico legal team cannot
I
accurately
think it was pretty neck and neck until the National Party source.
They poured a lot of money into it because they got scared.
What's there to be happy about? A clam's all like, oh, I'm so happy I didn't get turned into New England clam chowder today.
What's that going to do? I don't know.
That's so fun to say. What were we talking
And also, we need to talk about Prompt B with the firefighters.
Yeah. I meant to go by there and get a couple of
It feels
times.
sometimes like everything in life has gone against us. Take a break from anxiety. And
I'll
fear.
explain some of the city council issues with the Cenotaph in San Antonio and how they have already kind of boxed Bush in a little bit with regard to that.
Okay.
Now, I mean, he needs to take a leadership stand. Yeah, they already voted. Yeah, they've already
think they're hey guys, I'm back. Okay, so we got Chris Daniel here, we got Phil Paul Bryant, and let's talk about some politics. I know everybody loves talking about politics and maybe some gossip, and let's see where it goes.
Man, it's how you lose more friends.
Politics.
It's how you lose more friends.
Well, you know, I don't have many friends speaking. Right. When you don't have any, it's not hard to lose them. Okay, so what I found interesting is one of the person I think highly of is Bonnie Lugo was having a bit of a fit about how Jerry Patterson endorsed George P. Bush's opponent. And the whole kind of backstory, there's a lot of backstory with the Bushes and Trump and all that type of stuff. But I think really kind of the tie-in here and why a lot of people are just genuinely upset with the Bushes is George P. Bush's role with the Alamo and how a lot of people like my family were tied. We have relatives that fought in the Alamo. We have relatives basically in every Texas war. The first alcalde of Columbus is a relative. It's just like the history, at least in my family and many other residents in Texas, they have such a deep Texas history, and they're just highly offended is in how he's trying to commercialize, in essence, the Alamo. Have you heard anything? What do you think about that, Chris?
You know, it is a time for leadership. And I think with the best of intentions, the current land commissioner's office delved into trying to expand, preserve, and protect the Alamo. And unfortunately, too many businessmen and too many consultants got involved, particularly those that were not from Texas, and we have a mess on our hands. And a lot of it is a technical issue that is more complicated than a 20-second soundbite. For example, most folks don't know that the San Antonio City Council has already voted and kind of boxed Bush in as far as moving the cenotaph, the wonderful monument that's been there for over 100 years, is my understanding, that really celebrates the defenders and heroes, State Board of Education, of the Alamo. And what the problem with that is that once they have by ordinance said that you shall move this, unless he steps up as a leader and says the dickens with your city council ordinance, it looks like he's kind of kowtowing to what they're demanding, what this Democrat city council is demanding.
Well, I mean, it is that, and that's true. He doesn't seem to really.
It's a time for leadership.
He's not. He doesn't seem like he's listening to his supporters. At least he's not listening to people in the Republican Party that have deep, Texas roots, that just kind of have an emotional connection to all this historical type of stuff, especially in an environment where we're looking at maybe removing Sam Houston's statue, which I strongly disagree with. But you have that type of environment, and a lot of people are emotional about this.
This becomes a reduction to absurdity, reductio ad absurdum, to make a legal term. And at some point, we are doing our children, our grandchildren, our posterity a disservice by destroying history. And in some cases, it is better to preserve a bad history in place as a warning than it is to just destroy it and whitewash it and sweep it under the rug.
But then I agree with that. I mean, that's a completely different topic. If you're talking about Confederacy and the Civil War, that's a completely different topic.
You brought that up. I was just talking about history in general.
But if you're talking about Texas history, it's like something just vastly different, because you had people that were like Texas leaders refusing to succeed, refusing to go through that whole thing happening.
Well, let's take it back to the Alamo. You were talking about history here, and I was talking about tearing down history and sweeping history under the rug. Part of the problem with the expanded Alamo plan, or the criticism of the expanded Alamo plan, was you had an artist from Philadelphia who was trying to kind of de-emphasize the Battle of the Alamo itself and expand the 30,000-year history of what happened in that San Antonio region. And the problem is that that's not why people come to San Antonio. They don't come to San Antonio even to find out more about the Rough Riders, who were trained in the backyard of the Alamo, who were key and vital to not only the future of President Theodore Roosevelt, but also the Spanish-American War. They come because of the Battle of the Alamo, the icon of the battle. And for an outside Yankee to come in here and basically de-emphasize the purpose of people coming to the Alamo and expanding it the way that he did to increase the emphasis on 30,000 history, that again is, you're not communicating to your Texas base, you're not communicating to your outside visitors who come to this UNESCO site, and your folks that want to know more about why Texans are this independent, can-do spirit.
Yeah, I agree. And it's bad news whenever you're messing with the Alamo. And it can't get any more Texas than the Alamo. People jump up and down. They have a strong emotional connection. But how about the fact that Jerry Patterson, a pretty well-known, in a lot of different pockets of the Republican Party, you have him actually endorsing a Democrat, which is, a big no-no. But and what do you think about that?
I think he's making a statement. He must also be aware that he's never going to run for office again, because when people cross party lines to endorse Democrats, particularly in a race that's clearly going to be won by the Republican, you're committing political suicide. So he must firmly believe that this is his hill to die upon, and that he is going to try to make a statement to all that the handling of the Alamo has not been the way that he would have handled it, and that with the best of intentions, more leadership needs to step up to get the show on the road to protect Texas history.
I'll just be upfront. I can't vote for Bush, and I don't think I can vote for the Democrat either. But there's no way I'm going to vote for George P. Bush. Just no way. I think too many of my family members would be upset with me, both living and deceased. But so do you have any opinions on the Alamo, Philip?
Yeah, well, I think I was more concerned. I won't say concerned. I don't necessarily accept the fact that it would be political suicide to step across the aisle. I think in our PAC, Houston Area Coaching PAC, we do this on a regular basis. I think you have to judge and look at the candidates for who they are,
That's
what
fair.
They stand for, their
That's
background, some of their vision as well. Because I know Democrats that love Chris Daniels.
That's true. That's true.
And it's not necessarily because he's a Republican. It's because they think he knows what he's doing. They believe in the direction he's taking the district clerk's office, and it also works on the other side as well. Republicans just can't vote for someone just because they're Republican. Democrats can't vote for someone just because they're Democrat. I know we say it every election cycle, and I know every election cycle they go in and they just click that straight ticket candidate. But I think we have to go down ballot, look and see exactly who's on the ballot, what they're standing for, and a lot of it is kind of hard because you got 70 or 80 different elections, just for the judges, and then you got
75 judges on the ballot.
Right.
We set the Guinness Book of World Records.
Did you suffer property damage during Hurricane Harvey only to have your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your insurance company did you wrong because they didn't pay for your claim, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights. Call me today, 833-3HARVEY.
Records at one point for having one of the longest ballots in North America.
right. So I know it's difficult to do research on a couple hundred candidates just to go vote, but it's our civic duty. You know, people sacrifice for our right to vote and sacrifice to get there, and it does them justice because these people do affect our daily lives. You know, whether we like to admit to it or not.
Well, to be fair, I don't disagree with anything you just said, Phil. I just think that for Jerry to make such a bold statement in a statewide race, he must think that he's not going to run for anything in the future. Now, there's a maxim that my favorite state rep from Kingwood has to say, Dan Huberty, which is if you're explaining, you're losing. And where George P. Bush has himself in the corner right now is that in order to explain this very complicated and very hot topic of the Alamo and where its future is going, he has to go very detailed into a lot of technicalities that the listeners aren't willing to take the time to read about or listen to about. And when you're explaining, you're losing.
So we're talking about statewide races. Let's go to another race that's kind of a bit controversial. Is the Ted Cruz versus Beto. And I find that interesting. You have the National Party, you have Trump coming down supporting Ted Cruz, but you also have Willie Nelson, who's having doing some stuff for Beto. You have a bunch of national money from the Republican Party being poured into Ted Cruz's race because there's genuine fear that he may lose the race. I kind of am. I doubt it, but there is truly genuine fear around a number of pockets. And you also have the polling kind of tightening. One poll at least had it one percentage vote away. Some others 4 or 5, points away. Philip, why don't you start off? What do you think about that?
I think it's a referendum on Trump. I think Ted Cruz and Donald Trump are, I wouldn't call them best friends or second best friends in the whole wide world, but they're pretty aligned as well as some of their politics. And so for this race to even make the headline is, you're right. I definitely think that the numbers show that a Republican, whether it be Ted Cruz or whoever, the numbers show that should be a Republican seat. But for it to even be close or to even be a part of our conversation just shows you that not necessarily Ted Cruz, but in my opinion, his connection to Trump, I think is more so a vote against Trump in that particular seat, in my opinion. And I get them emails from the Democratic Party, the Harris County Party, and so I see the angle they're using as far as fundraising and get out the vote efforts, and they're making that connection.
But what about like the play that Ted Cruz isn't a likable person and that Beto is a much more likable person, a nicer person? And do you see that
a little bit more charismatic?
I see that being pushed, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that. I just see that being pushed. What do you think, Chris?
The reason why the National Party is concerned about this race is they're seeing what I'm seeing, where Beto has a rally in Grimes County, Texas. You know what's in Grimes County, Texas? Bunch of cattle and a company that builds the most drill pipe in North America. That's it. And here you have 400 people show up to a rally in Grimes County, Texas. When you have that kind of phenomena occurring, even if it's just every Democrat, it was 400, it is amazing to see that this enthusiasm is going on across the board. And that's why people are scared about what's happening with Beto. That's why they're concerned.
We'll dig more into it in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll get back on that and maybe finish up with Prop B.
Yeah.
Jeez. I think it's good stuff. Just people are fascinated by it. It's good stuff to talk about. You don't think so? I think it's
well. So what I'm going to lead into about Beto is how he's basically using Trump tactics to define the race, and how Ted has waited too long to take control.
Well, winding people up, get along and live.
I don't know what's going to happen with that. I think it's more fascinating than anything.
It's that time of the year.
Well, then I'll follow that with getting technical about straight ticket voting and how
that's true.
Beto is a threat. because if a Republican votes for Beto and they don't do the normal thing where you pull the lever and then change your vote, then they're going to have to vote all the way down the ballot. And after 75 judges, they may just forget to vote for their county judge.
How about 2 years from now? Because that's going to happen in 2 years from now.
That's right.
That's right.
And frankly, you don't. If you owe $10,000,
All right, if you want to make that, I see the pitch.
You had to go down the Confederate statue thing, huh? I wasn't talking about that.
I had to go down on it a second. I had to go down on it a second. I had to just kind of flirt with it. Just see what. I had to go with it for a
That's
second.
a no-win. There are people winning on that.
No, we didn't go into too deep. I had to go for a second. You know, I'm a sucker.
Just something's just blowing up your phone as we speak.
And I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company is denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS. Hurricane Harvey hit us all. It feels sometimes like
man,
life has gone against us. Take a break from anxiety and fear.
So we had a 2-week break. Yeah, we'll be back on this more. It's kind of fun.
Right.
How long's your show?
Just an hour.
Oh, we're almost gone.
You wear many
hats.
The
That's fine.
new business
Finish it up.
The buying toner for the
How about
company
12 more
share,
minutes?
The sifting through tons of resumes hat. You can throw away that last hat.
Yeah, it is. I just don't think I have the commitment or energy to do much more.
Well, now you know it's tough for all these radio guys. I mean, think about Michael Berry having to come up with an hour every day.
Yeah, but he also doesn't have a job, not elected. That's all he does.
I
His
just
job
saved
is.
hundreds of dollars by switching to
he's a good guy,
Geico.
but it's
I'm
just
as
a lot.
happy as a clam.
I don't necessarily want to be a radio personality. It's fun. I enjoy talking about stuff. Enjoy all the friends.
Yeah, you
Facebook.
missed out meeting Steve Johnson from KOL.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, Danny wanted to go out. I can only do so much. Can only do so much.
Geico. 15 minutes.
Get lost. And he was nearby. When he the other side of the street. Okay. Hey guys, we're back. We're gonna wrap this thing up. We're gonna put a nice, good, tight bow on it. We were talking about Beto's race with Ted Cruz, and Chris Daniel was pontificating on, as he does from time to time, on some very interesting and intellectually stimulating views on that race. You want to go back and...
You betcha. You know, with Robert Francis O'Rourke, the Irishman from El Paso, he is defining his race the way that Donald Trump used the media against the Democratic Party. And he's defining his race in such a way that Ted Cruz has waited way too late to get back on offense and to take the definition away. And so now you have Ted Cruz basically scrambling, whereas before he was almost kind of refusing to debate Beto. Now you have Beto saying, hey, I'm too popular. I'm on this show, on that show, and national media here, national media there. Why on earth would I waste my unearned popularity to lose it all in a debate to a clearly master debater that would be very, very good at basically dissecting and eviscerating Beto on any number of topics. At this point, it is a ground game, and there's going to be a lot of national media coming in. But here's my concern, Eric. With Philip Paul Bryant votes straight Republican normally, which I know he doesn't, but if he were to, and now all of a sudden he's enamored by this John F. Kennedy-esque candidate on the Democrat side, so he decides to vote for Beto. If he doesn't do the educated thing, which is to vote straight and then circle back and vote for Beto, if he goes one by one, by the time he gets halfway down the ballot, he may say, the dickens with this, I've got lunch, I've got plans, I've got to get on a radio show with Eric Dick, and decide to quit voting. And then he might miss our wonderful county judge. He might miss the district clerk's race, the county clerk's race, the county treasurer's race. He might miss voting for the propositions. And that is a terrible thing, because that is what the party fears, is somebody is going to be enamored by Beto and say, well, you know, I love Greg Abbott. Yeah, I love all these other races. but I'm a little tired because I forgot to vote straight and then circle back and change a race.
I hope they forget George P. Bush. If they are going to forget anybody,
Well,
they need to miss that one. Let's kind of what do you think about this Prop B? A lot of people have been talking about Prop B, and I love the firefighters. I can't help but want to support them, and I do support them in Prop B. But Chris, what do you think about Prop B?
You know, as a non-resident of the city of Houston, it would be a shame for me to communicate on this, but I'll go ahead anyway. I'm basically supported by the base of both sides. I'm openly endorsed by HPLU, full disclosure, and I hope to get the endorsement of the Firefighters Union as well, because I'm already endorsed by the rest of their AFL-CIO brethren. At the same time, I understand why we got to where we are. We're in a situation where the cops have been basically screwed with by the various mayors since Mayor Lee Brown. And these issues didn't go away. And so they came up with a legislative solution to help them. They invited the firefighters to the table, but the firefighters had their own program going on and their own plan. And whether that was a good plan or not as good of a plan, whether they should have played nicely with the police officers or not, is water under the bridge, because now we're at this point in present time. And they have decided to take this to the people as a legislative solution instead of going to the Texas House like the police officers did. Whether that's the best plan or not, again, I don't live in the city of Houston, so it'd be dishonest of me to go further, but I want the folks listening to understand that we arrived at this because of a lack of leadership at City Hall. Period. It's not Sylvester Turner's fault. It's not Anise Parker's fault. It's not Bill White's fault. It goes all the way back to Mayor Lee Brown.
I think it goes before that, but I don't think it. I think, okay, let's kind of take a step back. You've got firefighters making $27,000 a year, which is not very much.
How much?
$27,000 a year.
Is that starting or added?
That's starting.
Wow.
You start at $27,000 a year. And I know there's arguments, okay, they only have to work 2 days a week, but they have to work 24-hour shifts on those 2 days a week. Good luck finding another job. And sure, they have benefits, but you talk about a job where you're running in a fiery building. I think people need to, whenever I ran for mayor, every time I've ran for city council, I've always followed Orlando Sanchez's, motto. Pick a few things, do a good job at it. Public safety, infrastructure, basic city services. That's where you want to spend your money on. Under public safety, you break that down. That's the firefighters. That's the police officers. We want them to do a good job. We want them funded to do a good job. And though I love parks, and I live next to a park, ride my bike on a park, I'd rather be safe and have firefighters come to my house. Hey guys, remember I support you whenever my house is on fire. Remember, I support you. I'd rather them come to my house and make sure we're safe, make sure my daughters don't burn up in the house, because that would break my heart. And that'd break almost anybody's heart if their house, burns down. But my point is this. If we're talking about being, conservative, at least fiscally conservative on, with the city of Houston, spend the money where we say we're supposed to spend the money. Spend it on the firefighters. Take care of the firefighters, because we need them. At the minimum, if people are, feeling spiteful towards Sylvester Turner, it's kind of a spit in the face to vote for, this, because it limits, it kind of forces Sylvester Turner to spend more money on the firefighters. So I strongly support it for a very, very, very large amount of reasons. Some of them, full disclosure, my dad was a firefighter, a captain and a senior captain at a number of, I think, two 66s and 67s. So I'm just inherently biased towards firefighters. But on the other hand, as a Republican, as a conservative Republican, I can't help but, it's one of the things we should be doing. Philip, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think that you have to support the firefighters. And I think they're just basically asking to be on par with their counterparts at the police department, if I'm not mistaken. So you have to support the firefighters. If they need raises, give them a little extra money. I think initially were asking for 3%, but they just were just backlogged from prior years that Now they're asking for a larger percentage to try to make up for past years. And if that sends the city, puts the city in a position where they don't necessarily have the revenue to cover it, then that's going to force them to look at other programs and other possible wasteful spending to try to accommodate for that. And so I support the firefighters. I think there also is going to be another proposition about the drainage,
the rain tax.
The rain tax. And so, from what I understand, that the courts aren't going to make them refund that money back to the residents, but they're going to allow them to be a little bit more clear on the language. And so, the city has some explaining to do in this municipal election cycle.
Well, just as a final word to the listeners, I just want you to understand that after this proposition is voted for or against, with regard to the firefighters, that this problem is not going to go away.
Right.
We got to this problem because the city was upside down on its budget, and various mayors and city councils have tried creative solutions to solve this to no avail. The cops ended up going to legislature to try to seek a solution. The firefighters are going a different direction to seek a solution. With regard to the drainage tax, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Thanks, guys. This is it. We'll see you. I'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks very much. You guys have a great weekend.
That was my diplomatic answer.
That was very diplomatic.
Thanks, guys. We're heading out.
But it's the truth.
Did you suffer property damage during Hurricane Harvey only to have your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your insurance company did you wrong because they didn't pay for your claim, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights. Call me today, 833-3HARVEY.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights.
Call the Dick Law Firm now at 1-833-3HARVEY.
Anywhere else, listen now by going to FoxNewsPodcasts.com. Tucker Carlson.
So much barking and noise and yelling. Our role is to take 3 steps back and discern what really matters. Sean Hannity. The most important thing that we do, we are looking out for the forgotten men and women in this country. Lori Rowe.
They're going to get a straight. If y'all can't sit here all day online, make sure y'all go onto the iHeartRadio media app, KPRC 950, or just tune into your radio, 950 AM. A lot of good stuff today. A lot of good stuff. But it's only 30 minutes, so make sure you tune in. If you're going to get some calls in, 713-212-5950.
Finally forbidding insurers from discriminating against or denying coverage to Americans with pre-existing conditions. The GOP spent 8 years preparing to repeal the law, even forcing it government shutdown.
Hey, Karen. Hey, little Tim.
A California college ready to shell out hundreds of millions of dollars to settle lawsuit.
The University of Southern California says it'll pay out $215 million to settle claims of sexual abuse by a school gynecologist. That settlement would compensate individuals.
And as always, today's segment brought to you by Bragg's Organic Apple Cider Vinegar, all natural drink. And we got the right one today, apple cinnamon. Dick, where's your Topo Chico?
I got a little Topo Chico right here.
You got it? Let's make sure you got it. You got it?
I got a Topo Chico.
David, what are you drinking, man?
Starbucks.
Ah, come on, man.
I know,
It's a
Jay.
Frappuccino.
Yeah.
He's got the Frappuccino. He's frapping it. Oh, man. What a rush. Sorry, Shannon. We were rushing.
Shannon, you get a car. We didn't get me a badge.
Yeah. Barely did it. Okay.
About 37,000 members of the Second Marine Expeditionary Force are believed to have
Hey, y'all.
as Hurricane Florence closed in last month.
Oh, it's going to be a juicy show. It's going to be a short show, but it's going to be juicy.
30 minutes, huh?
Yeah.
So we have one break around 14 to 18 again. Yeah. 27, 26 cars on. Pick us up.
So we're going to go into, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, first let's start about, there's a new suit. Well, first let's talk Attack Him again.
And I'm Joe.
Attack Him.
Oh, yeah. I could
Attack Him. And then we'll talk about the suit against the city for the
largest gun show in the country is over
drag queen show.
Yeah. They got to watch out. They might get in trouble on that. For anti-slap. How are you going to get around anti-slap with that?
Good afternoon. Watch out for an accident on the North Freeway northbound and the North Loop. This has two left-hand blocked.
I haven't seen like the pleadings.
Some good news. That accident we had on the North Freeway southbound equipment has been cleared. Traffic is unwinding in that area, adding about 30 minutes to your commute. I'm Eunice Garcia, the 24-hour traffic center.
Okay, cool.
And pizzas count for a limited time.
And then we'll
talk about Sylvia some more.
Yeah, we do need to talk about Sylvia. We got the rest of the affidavit, and we can talk about the Chronicles hypocrisy because they endorsed her after being one of the lead publications on this Me Too and Kavanaugh stuff.
Go to Danny and his friends.
Take a break.
After the first break, we're going down.
After the first break, we're going to you with the about immigration law and how it ties in and stuff
right here on KPRC.
We'll make it fit.
Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for information.
They've never heard the intro on Facebook streaming.
All right, folks, we're back to a spicy show here today. It's going to be Fast and Furious Eric Dick Show with my co-host and wingman, Chris Carmona. And
hello, good weekend, everyone.
It is going to be a great show. Okay, we had a lot happen this week. We had, Touchy Sylvia. We got the rest of her affidavit where, she's talking about some rash she has, and she has a clerk, which she's a municipal judge, and she, starts telling the clerk, hey, I got this rash on my leg. You want to see it? And the clerk's like, well, no, not really, Sylvia. I don't know that many people want to see it, but no, I'm good.
And she was good. And that's the thing. I mean, when we left off last week, we had limited information on this affidavit, but we have procured the remainder of the affidavit, and it just gets even worse. I mean, there was trips to Nashville where she was just taking advantage of her allegedly aggressively inside this hotel room. And, this is a legal talk show, and we talk about legal standards and how that impacts the community. Well, I remember a couple of weeks ago, the Houston Chronicle made it a point to make sure that our Supreme Court of the United States candidate, now Justice Kavanaugh, was put through this ringer and even made a point to publish different opinions and editorials where it said that, if you're accused of these things, you're not fit for these types of positions. So with Sylvia being accused of these types of allegations, it's surprising that they came out and endorsed her this week. What's going on?
Well,
you know, to quote Erica Grinder from the Houston Chronicle, it's dead and irrelevant and no one cares. And that's actually from a reporter. So you know, what's interesting with the whole Kavanaugh thing is you had a woman, and she was sincere. I know there's people that, you know, have different opinions, but she seemed sincere that something happened to her. Maybe we aren't sure what happened, but something happened, and she seems sincere about it. Just as the level of sincerity in that affidavit. I mean, and they go into a lot of detail.
And it's pretty
folks.
detailed. I mean, these are things that have been sitting on and no one's come forward. Apparently, Ms. Gutierrez had actually made these complaints before, but it fell on deaf ears. And that's the problem I see with the city of Houston, is that they pick and choose who they actually want to move forward with these types of allegations. And I think that's something that falls back into the city council and also the mayor, because we have to stop that culture of siding with some, whether it's political or not, or it's just friendships. If these allegations are being thrown out there, you got to act on those. I mean, if not, you open yourself to all types of liability in the employment field, right?
Yeah, you're right. And didn't if I remember right, reading that affidavit, didn't one of her like staffers kind of walk in and go, "Oh, whoa, I don't want to see this," turn around like beeline right out,
opened the door, unlocked it, and said, "Whoa," made a U-turn and got back out of there. I mean, so there's been witnesses to these allegations or to these events, and I'm just shocked and appalled that for the Houston Chronicle to come out and say, you know, we're going to lead the movement and making sure that people have a voice and people who have these allegations, they're going to be heard, to come out with no hesitation and endorse against Philip Arnoff in the congressional race in CD29 over in the east side of Harris County.
Or they could have just done no endorsement. And they could have just done, they could have said, you know, well, look, we're going to be the bigger person. These allegations with Sylvia, they're pretty sincere. You know, and just so the listeners know, this is, you know, the former county commissioner, former state senator, Sylvia Garcia. What she did is she took off her, allegedly, which is probably not very alleged, but anyway, she took off her pants, said, hey, you know, I got a rash, to one of her clerks, you know, ran around in her panties. Another one of her staffers kind of came in and kind of was freaked out and beelined out of there and just completely harassed this poor girl. I mean, if I did this type of stuff at my business or even at the Department of Education, it'd be all over the news.
Oh, it would be. It would be lawsuits left and right, all over the news. Every single media publication in the city would be covering that. And again, I'm just shocked at that. And, you know, I hope that, you know, people put politics aside, because, again, this has a lot more weight in this story with specific details than we saw with Kavanaugh. And I hope the Democrats actually hold Sylvia Garcia accountable. And there may be some infighting that results from this, with early voting starting on Monday. And so we'll just have to see on that. But with infighting also comes another person we need to talk about. The turmoil hasn't stopped with our county judge.
Oh, hunker down?
Hunker down. You know, last week he had came out and endorsed the Democrat candidate for lieutenant governor, and there was some minor backlash from some of the candidates down ballot in Harris County, the Republican candidates. And there hasn't been any backtrack. If anything, it's been a double down on the statement of saying, I said what I said and I meant what I said. You know, how's that going to affect everybody? How's that going to affect the courthouses? Because, you know, in 2008, we saw a huge wipeout. 2012, we saw it again, a wipeout. 16, another one, sweep every 4 years.
Ed Emmett is just kind of the reaction. It's really the fault of the local party, the complete mismanagement by the local Harris County Republican Party, and the arrogance of Ted Cruz. And you got to realize that Beto is the result of just utter arrogance of Ted Cruz being just elected, runs for president, just ignores everybody. I mean, Beto, he's done a decent job. He's not going to win. I don't think he's going to win. I think it'd be surprising it'd be a shocker. But stranger things have happened. But Beto wouldn't have nearly as much following if Ted Cruz would have done his job. And also been a nice guy. And everyone tells me in the Republican Party that's around him. I mean, some people do like him, and they jump up and down and say, we like him. But there's a surprising amount of people that say he's a jerk. I don't want to be around him.
He's not connected to the people he was when he campaigned first in 2012. He's kind of separated himself with more of an elitist attitude is what I hear. And then I also heard last night that there was a Kingwood Tea Party gathering, candidate rally, and apparently that was the buzz around the room. Is anybody going to hold Ed Emmett accountable for this statement? And is that going to really hurt the down ballot judges? I think it will. I think it'll
hurt the judges, but you got to also remember that Lloyd Oliver, he did something similar, actually a step back, maybe 4 years ago, whenever he ran for DA, and the Democrats just kicked him right off the ballot.
Yeah, and there's been some great articles about that by Charles Blaine and also Kerry Cheshire. They made some mention on this, and they were asking people, hey, what's going to happen here?
Oh, nothing's going to happen because Emmett's tied in with the local party that's incompetent.
Yeah, it is. And more to come on the Eric Dick Show. A shortened segment today. We only have half an hour. We got to get to y'all some sports programming. But y'all sit right there. We'll be right back.
Thanks, folks. See you shortly. We'll come in, go in with you for probably another 10, 12, then we'll be done.
Yeah. So what do you feel comfortable talking about? Like what area are you just feel like, man, I know this, I'm dynamic on this, and boom.
Just anything immigration is good. We do all types of immigration. We do business, we do family, we do removal. So anything that you want to talk about in terms of any new changes, like right now there's an instant denial that just started in September.
Okay.
So that means that if you send a petition, it's wrong, something wrong with it, not all there, so just deny it. And this bad used to, they just refuse it. But denying it is actually
right up here. Okay. Then we can talk about this caravan that's coming up and Trump's statement. There's some tough people, and we don't want those tough people coming in. And you can see about they're coming from Guatemala and Honduras. They're trying to go through Mexico. Mexico's actually trying, they're trying to do their job and secure the border. So we don't want you coming in and filter in. They tore it down and. I'll tie into immigration, and then immigration right there. That's how we do it.
I think smoking always affected my daily life because I was a closet smoker.
Roseanne, exactly. Someone like the county chair should have said something, but he didn't. Really, the guy pays them all. I mean, that's Emmett's his major funder.
There's no
him and this guy Weekly, they own him. So what are you gonna say? No, don't do it.
So,
but like I said, it's gonna be very, very, very.
We got a good many followers now.
Not want to break straight ticket voting because of his insistence on doing that. So we'll see how it turns out. But early voting starts on Monday. Make sure I go by, vote all the way through from the top to the bottom. There's a lot of judges on that ballot that really need your support. It's not a smart idea just to always hit straight ticket if you don't feel comfortable with all the candidates. Beto, fake Mexican. Is he really a fake Mexican or is he just using the name to try to trick people? What kind of fires was he putting out? Like what was being said to try to mitigate that damage? I mean, could you really mitigate that? Unless maybe to show some poll numbers and be like, the current poll shows, even with that statement, we're still up about 15%. Anything like that.
He speaks his mind.
No, they had news scores. They had
He just wanted to show that's the official name.
How long
Monday after Monday, so make sure that you're trying to blow us up. KCRC 950.
912, but it took
Oh, here we are, folks. If you haven't pulled over and talked to your lawyer, you better do it because we're going to go into some law, and I don't want you guys crying to me because I gave you good advice and you hadn't paid me. So you better go talk to your lawyer before you listen anymore. Okay?
And if they're suffering from any type of home damage, car damage, life insurance issues where the insurance company is just not paying, so they call Dick.
Better get Dick.
Better get Dick.
Better get Eric Dick.
And so when we left off, I mean, again, there's just so much turmoil going on in this world. But one thing I do have to say is today is my daughter's 14th birthday. Happy birthday, Brooklyn.
My mother and sister's birthday.
I was about to say, you have a family of birthdays today, too.
And it's Mark Lanier's birthday.
And Mark Lanier's birthday. So October 20th, mark this down on your calendars, everybody. That's a strong day for birthdays to come out. But other than the birthdays, we have some other exciting news going on in the country, right?
Oh, we have a lot of exciting news, but why don't we start off talking with Danny about his little law practice doing immigration law, and we can kind of tie it into all the many things that are happening in this world.
So today's guest, we have attorney Danny Wynn. Danny, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having us. This is David Wynn, by the way.
Oh, sorry, David Wynn. Oh,
I'm sorry. It's okay.
So I had it right the first time when I said David.
Yeah, you said it earlier this morning, so yeah, maybe it's too early for you.
Oh, I was thinking of there's a
city council member in Missouri City.
That's right, Danny Wynn. Sorry, David. So you have an immigration practice. You've been practicing law about 10 years, right?
That's right. We're practicing 10 years. We have an office in Southwest Houston and one in Northwest Houston as well.
Excellent. And so there's been some changes lately. And could you tell me about the changes in immigration law that's, some listeners might want to know about?
Yeah, so there's a lot of changes across immigration, across the board. So whether it's legal immigration or illegal immigration, there's changes across the board. Some of the major changes, instant denial. So starting in last month, in September, if you send in a petition or an application and there's anything that's wrong with it, immigration used to send you a request for more evidence, or they send you a notice of intent to deny and give you an opportunity to fix the problem. So now, no more. They can instantly deny your application. And again, this is not like a rejection, this is a denial. So it looks really, really bad if you're trying to reapply later on.
So what you're telling me is if someone is, wants to work on their status or, wants to bring someone over or marry someone or what have you, they probably should not do it by themselves. They're probably behooved to go actually get a lawyer to help them with their immigration status. Is that what you're telling me, David?
Exactly. I used to tell people, if you read the law very carefully, you could probably do this by yourself. But now so much things have changed. Like, I'll just give you an example. So the basic forms that you need to sponsor a spouse, it used to be last year, before 2017, the I-130 form, it used to be 5 pages. Now it's 18 pages. And there's another form that supplements that. It used to be 4 or 5 pages. Now it's an additional 18 pages. And those are just 2 forms out of the many forms that you have to file in order to bring someone to the U.S.
Now, and this is things that probably an attorney is best equipped to handle. Is that correct? Is that a fair assessment?
That's right. And, it's not a person's fault, to be honest with you. A lot of things are wrong online, especially even on the government's website. They're wrong. And I could, probably, usually what I do is I show clients, like, look, this is what you want to do. And I can tell you that it's wrong. If you do it this way, like they have it on the website, it's going to get rejected or denied.
Now, there's a lot of notaries that have popped up around this city, I know for sure, over the last few years to try to assist and expedite some of this immigration paperwork. What's your feelings on notaries? Are those really strong-minded people who understand the legal system and know how to navigate the channels?
And that's a good question, Chris. Well, I can tell you for sure, a lot of people in Mexico, there's public notarios are attorneys, but in the U.S., they're not attorneys. Public notarios are popping up, and let me tell you why you don't want to hire one. The public notarios would never put their name on any of your documents. So whenever there's a problem with your documents because they're giving you wrong advice, no one's accountable except for you. And you're not going to be able to blame someone that doesn't have their names on your forms.
They charge a lot of cash too, aren't they?
They do it, but besides this actually being illegal for a notary to practice law, and usually they'll charge at least near what a lawyer would charge.
Sometimes more.
Sometimes more. So you're having someone, it's basically you're just going and picking someone off the side of the street and saying, hey, help me with my legal forms. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't get someone off the side of the street to represent me, which actually I do. Being an attorney, actually I do hire people to represent me, and anytime anything happens.
They say what a client has a fool. What is the saying?
Yeah,
only a fool has a client for himself.
That's right. So yeah, if you have problems with immigration, you probably should get a lawyer. Maybe you could have done it in the past, but it sounds like things have changed, and it probably behoove you to sit and talk to somebody that actually is licensed through the state bar and, tell you what to do. What other problems do you see happening, Danny?
Okay, so the other problems that we see right now is if you're in removal proceedings. So before, if you're in removal proceedings, that means deportation proceedings, you would have probably a very fair trial with the immigration judge. It's not like that anymore. So right now, under Donald Trump, he said that immigration judges have a quota. They're obligated, or they should, try and end at least 700 cases per year. So what this means in reality is that every immigration judge under the quota has to finish a case within 2.5 hours. Think about this for a second. One party has to state the facts of the case, the witnesses have to be called up, the judge has to make a decision, all in the course of 2.5 hours. Some of these cases are asylum cases, meaning that they involve people that have been victims in their own countries. They're going to the U.S. in order to seek protection, and now you have to make a decision within 2.5 hours, whereas maybe a year ago, you would have maybe several years to put together a case. So that's what's happening right now. Is that?
But on the flip side with that, Danny, hasn't one of the biggest issues always been that the process takes too long? You have to get in line. It's a long line, takes years. But with this expediency of a 2-hour hearing, or it doesn't that speed up the process, and doesn't that help people who are in the queue trying to get through the system properly?
So in the past, you're right. So in the past, asylum used to take years. Now it's not that way anymore. So earlier this year, they changed it. When you apply for asylum today, instead of taking years, you're going to get a notice for an interview within 3 to 5 months. That's very quick. Think about this. You have to show asylum is not easy to get. You're going to have to, usually the attorney will write a legal brief. You have to show evidence, so medical records. Imagine fleeing your country with nothing, and then you're going to have to try to get, copies of certified copies of your birth certificate, your, anything that you have in that situation, maybe judicial records. I mean, it's going to be very hard for anyone that's fleeing their country with no money.
Yeah.
And nonprofits nowadays don't have a budget in order to fix this issue. There's too many people.
It's definitely a broken system. It's something that we really have to make sure we're pressing our Congress members and our senators to put something in place that's actually going to be sustainable in the long term.
And it's not just the immigration system. I mean, it's the same way with our justice system. There's a lot of sad things that happen every day. I had a client one time in criminal law back when I first started practicing law, where she had some problems with the welfare. She got too much welfare because she was broke. And the judge that she was in front of, who's now the administrative judge in Harris County, was Susan Brown. She was nice enough to, put Mike Al in jail, baby in hand. When I say baby in hand, I had to watch the baby while the grandmother came to pick her up.
It was training for you, Dick. It was training for you.
That's training. But we want to talk about injustice. There's a lot of injustice to go around, a lot of injustice in different spots. And there's, it's been going on a long time, and I imagine there always will be injustice.
Yeah, real quick, David. There's a huge caravan coming through Central America right now, going through Mexico, trying to get to the United States. Will they make it? And if so, are they going to be turned back around under this new policy provisions? What happens to them?
Right now, it's harder for people trying to enter the U.S. to get asylum or refugee status. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle for them to try to make it into the U.S. And even if they do, it's going to be very hard for them to try to get any legal status in the U.S. So it's very hard. We're turning away people that are actually fleeing their country. Some of these people, yes, there's always people that will try to, go past the system that do not qualify. But you have to understand there's a huge vetting process to make sure that their alibi sticks. There's multiple interviews to make sure they have a credible fear.
But if you have a group of 1,000 people coming in one time and saying, we just got bombed in our neighborhood, shouldn't their stories all match, and wouldn't that be considered some type of evidence that could be used in the process?
So just like you mentioned earlier about the Kavanaugh hearing, when people experience trauma, they're gonna remember different things. And so when you have a child versus an adult, they're gonna see different things, and that's why it takes a lot of work in order to gather the story to make it make sense, because every person's story is going to be a little different based on their experience.
Well, I think it just goes to show that you're always probably doing right whenever you have legal problems to go and get an attorney. The system's always going to change under whether it's Trump, whether it was going to be somebody else. The system's going to change. Whether it's good or bad, it always remains to be seen. It's fascinating how government works and how consequences for actions happen. Plenty of times they're inadvertent. This could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. Only time will tell. But what is important is while they're going through this process, if they're serious about it, they probably need legal help.
They do, and that's what we're here for, is to try to make sure we guide people to make sure they're getting legal help in any type of situation they're in. And David Wynn, thank you for your time today with talking about immigration. And if anybody needs to reach out to David, what's that phone number?
It's 281-777-1236.
All right, thank you, David.
Yeah, so is there anything else we need to go through in this fast and furious?
Absolutely. Again, anytime you're facing an insurance company, whether it's a car accident, a personal injury that happens, you slipped and fell, or you got flooded or hail damage, if the insurance company does not want to pay, you got to make sure you have someone on your side who's going to fight for you from the beginning to the end, and is going to take the insurance company to task.
What I found amazing is I've represented like
thousands of people. And when I say thousands, like 2,000, 3,000 people. And out of those thousands of people I've represented, I'd say 98, 99% were underpaid on their claims. It's just kind of fascinating that so many insurance companies just underpay claims, and they pay big money to to government through lobbyist organizations like Texans for Lawsuit Reform to buy people off. But I guess that's never going to stop. You're always going to have stuff like that, and that's been going on since governments began. Is you have special interests.
And it has, and as long as there continues to be special interests protecting the insurance companies, it's important and critical that you have an attorney fighting on your side, and that's where homeowners insurance lawyer, attorney Eric Dick, comes in. And again, if you're getting in that legal situation, don't get mad, get Dick.
Good to be back again, folks. I'll see y'all next weekend, or I won't see y'all. I'll talk to you next weekend.
And make sure that we haven't always said this, but we got to send a huge shout out to our producer Shannon. See y'all next week.
Thanks, producer Shannon. Have a good one. Barely did that one. That was a rush.
Hey, send me some business cards. Maybe I'll hand it out. I have a business card wall.
Yeah, guys. Again, sorry for the short show today, but we'll be back on. We're good next week, right?
I'll put this on.
I think we're good next week, but we'll let y'all know. Yeah, have a good one.
It's on Twitter. It'll be on Twitter later. Okay. Bye, folks. Thanks. Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
A Houston man tonight is taking on the city of Houston. He is suing, saying he has the constitutional right to feed the homeless this Thanksgiving and any other day that he chooses.
Fox 26's Damalie Keith is live at Houston City Hall with more details on this. Damalie?
Yeah, you may remember the charitable feeding ban went into effect a few years ago, making it illegal to feed the homeless. Well, Philip Paul Bryant says it shouldn't be against the law to give food to someone in need. He says it should be the other way around, a crime not to give.
Of just trying to make sure a fellow human doesn't starve.
It sounds simple enough.
We aren't asking for anything else than to be able to give food to those that are less fortunate. Please let us do it.
Houston City Council members say they passed the charitable feeding ban to ensure homeless people receive food prepared under health code regulations, and so those in need will turn to an organization to eat, so they will receive other resources, services, and shelter as well.
Many of them take probably no more than 150 people. How many homeless are there? You cannot fit all the homeless into the shelters.
We pursued this lawsuit because we felt the city was trying to disenfringe not only on the less fortunate, but also trying to discourage good people, good Samaritans from doing the right thing.
It's Thanksgiving. It's the whole purpose of this holiday is to share food and eat. Let us practice our religion. Let us follow our faith. That's all we're asking.
If someone doesn't give them food, they won't have food to eat that night.
Bryant says a number of groups wanting to set up outdoors and feed the homeless this Thanksgiving are discouraged for fear of being punished by the police.
There's going to be a lot of people who are on that border of saying, yeah, do we feed them, do we not feed them, do we want to go to jail, do we want to get a ticket?
Now, those who want to gather and feed the homeless have to first get permission from the city, and depending on where you plan to set up, you'll have to get permission from the property owner as well. There is a $500 fine for violating the ban, and you could go to jail if you don't pay that fine. We're live in downtown Houston. I'm Damalie Keith, Fox 26 News.
Hi, This is Eric Dick, and I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
A local pastor is fed up, and he's challenging the Houston homeless feeding ordinance.
And the city requires you to get a permit if you are going to share food. He can't get a permit because he doesn't know where he's going to share food.
Philip Paul Bryan regularly keeps cans of tuna and water bottles in his car to hand out to homeless people. But under the current city ordinance, he's breaking the law. His attorney says Bryan does this because his faith teaches him to help the less fortunate.
This law that's in place, it's a mean-spirited law. It's against, charity. It's against kindness. It's against doing the right thing.
Eric Dick says they plan to fight this till the mayor and city officials overturn what some believe is a misguided ordinance.
A Houstonian claiming his religious freedom is being denied might soon see his lawsuit against the city dismissed.
And it appeared that Judge Kyle Carter was thinking about dismissing the case, saying that Philip doesn't have standing.
Philip Paul Bryant filed a lawsuit in 2017 claiming his religious rights to charitable giving were being infringed upon by a 2012 Houston Feeding the Homeless ordinance. In the city of Houston, you can give 5 homeless people a sandwich, but that 6th sandwich, that's the one that will cost you.
Could be fined $500 to $2,000, or you can even take the risk with going to jail.
According to his attorney, Eric Dick, Bryant's case may not find a home in Harris County Civil Court.
They're saying that my client, he waited over a year to file a lawsuit since he found out about the law. If people just found out about the law, and they want to sue the city for this illegal act, I'm happy to represent them for free. I think that it's a mean world whenever acts of charity are criminal.
To be fair, the ordinance doesn't outright ban the giving of food to the homeless. It just creates a lot of hurdles to jump through to do it lawfully.
My children are a big deal in this, and teaching them how to give to the community. If they want to make 10 sack lunches and go hand them around downtown Houston, I shouldn't have to go to my government office in order to obtain permission just to give those sandwiches.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3-HARVEY, 833-3-HARVEY. That's 833-3-HARVEY. Call me right now.
Did you suffer property damage during Hurricane Harvey only to have your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your insurance company did you wrong because they didn't pay for your claim, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3-HARVEY, 833-3-HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights. Call me today, 833-3HARVEY.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights.
Call the Dick Law Firm now at 1-833-3HARVEY.
Breaking the law, one meal at a time, feeding the homeless.
It is morally wrong to make it a crime to give food.
A Houston man who feeds the homeless because of his faith is suing the city, challenging the established charitable feeding ban. The often debated ordinance has banned sharing food in public groups of more than 5 people without city permission since 2012.
The city says you can give food to 5 people, not 6. What are you supposed to tell the 6th person? I met my quota today?
The city wants to dismiss Philip Paul Bryant's lawsuit.
That's a crime? What does this world come to? It's a sad day whenever trying to prevent a fellow human from starving is a crime.
The city says the ordinance aims to curb trespassing and littering, both of which were already prohibited in the municipal code prior to the passing of the ordinance. While some Houstonians are in support of the lawsuit,
I really hope he wins his case, and I really hope they lift those sanctions so we can be able to give more to the needy.
So if you're willing to help more than 5 homeless people, you should be able to do that.
Some even challenge the city's support of their citizens.
The city isn't going to take care of their homeless people. As their people, somebody got to take care of them. So why can't we take care of them?
A question Houstonians will continue to ask as long as the ban remains.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
Hurricane Harvey may be the most costly storm in history. And if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, this is America. We have rights. You have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. There's always hope. Call me today at 833-3HARVEY.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
So as soon as we hear the music, it's going to be 1 minute to start transitioning to the break.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll try to do it smoothly and quickly.
Show. Have a great, safe Saturday. We will see you right here next week too, and on hightech.com. But right now, my show is over.
Texas Mutual Insurance Company celebrates 20 consecutive years of distributing dividends. We've sent $2.5 billion to save Texas businesses, including a record $280 million payout in 2018. For more about the sweet rewards of safety-focused workers' comp, ask your agent or go to WorkSafeTexas.com.
I'm Pat. I'm from Harlem, New York. I started smoking cigarettes when I was about 17, 18, when I was in the military.
Hey guys, I'm going to go live in just a couple minutes. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So, and you can also listen on KPRC AM 950. Maybe if I just move them all together right here, it might be better. That's good.
That was the first time I got the Juul. I gave it a chance.
So guys,
I wish I'd found it a long time ago.
Wave it on my friends. Thank you all for supporting me. We're going to go live in just a couple minutes, okay?
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Hey, did you hear that last ad? I know, you might be skeptical, but trust me, Juul is a vaporizer that really satisfies. If you're ready to switch from cigarettes, Juul is an option you'll definitely want to try. You'll be happy you did. Don't wait. Give Juul a shot.
3 minutes.
Exciting. 3 minutes. Exciting. See, even Judge Prine's joined. Wow. Exciting. Fantastic judge, Charlie Prine. Great guy.
Let the student need begin their prescription classes for free. Yep, listen to this. It's their Seed to Succeed program. The 3i Center gives free eyeglasses to students in need. That's free eyeglass frames to students in need, worth up to $200 every time someone has LASIK. So help yourself. Oh, by the way, and a student in need, help me see that. Calling 713-526-EYES. 713-526-EYES. And ask about Hope 3i Center's Seed to Succeed LASIK offer. And so do something for yourself. All right? You know,
so if anybody tries calling me in the next hour, I'm not going to respond to text unless I kill a light here at some point. I don't know yet.
Seed to Succeed. 713-526.
When the need for senior care arises, there's no place like home. Your loved ones should never have to give up living at home. Visiting Angels will provide home care for your mom or dad at home up to 24 hours per day, including personal care, meals, and light housework. You'll select your professional caregiver with Visiting Angels. Look up visitingangels.com or call 877-374-LIVE. That's 877-374-LIVE.
Oh, Justin's giving you a holler out.
Visiting Angels, America's choice in senior home care.
Win your way to our 2018 iHeartRadio
A lot of great people.
Justin Timberlake.
I'll take America West far. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Hosted by Ryan Seacrest, September 21st and 22nd at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
Okay. Going live and oh geez, almost there. It's like we're about to go live.
KPRC, Houston, an iHeart radio station.
Still packing a punch. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News. Hawaiians still have a lot to worry about, even though what happened Hurricane Lane was downgraded to a tropical storm. FEMA Administrator Brock Long talking to Fox News.
We're still projecting more than 2 days worth of rainfall to continue to inundate the state. And quite honestly,
give the phone number for them to call in.
That surpassed what we saw last year with
1-3-2-2. Perfect. Just making sure.
Right on parts of Hawaii's Big Island. Tributes pouring in for Arizona Senator and Vietnam War hero John McCain. This after yesterday's announcement that he has ended medical treatment for brain cancer with the end of his life fast approaching. The Army's Chief of Staff General Mark Milley calls McCain an American hero. While President Trump did not mention McCain during a speech last night in Ohio. President Trump today taking another swipe at his Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Fox's Jillian Turner in Washington telling us what the president is tweeting.
Jeff Sessions said he wouldn't allow politics to influence him only because he doesn't understand what's happening underneath his command position. Highly conflicted Bob Mueller and his gang of 17 angry Dems are having a field day as real corruption goes untouched. No collusion.
The president's had a strained relationship with Jeff Sessions ever since the AG recused himself in the Russia probe, allowing the subordinate to appoint special counsel Robert Mueller. Pope Francis visiting Ireland today, acknowledging the child sex abuse scandal in the Catholic Church.
If one thinks about those who are most vulnerable, I cannot fail to acknowledge the grave scandal caused in Ireland by the abuse of young people, minors, by members of the church.
That reporting courtesy of Sky News, Ireland has been particularly hard hit by the sex abuse scandal. Fox News.
Can you guys hear? Can you guys hear?
My mic's on, right?
I believe it.
No one can understand.
Okay.
Sure, we only hit that whenever you're ready, because it will go on the air. People seem to think that having
It's off now. Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear you
Okay.
unless you hold down that.
No, it's on now, right?
Yeah, you don't want to turn it on until we're on, until we're on the air ready for the show itself. Or
Yeah.
else it will go on.
Oh, where's that one?
It's going to be probably the MC mic.
Yeah, don't.
You can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with.
So there's a button to chat with me. Let me see. Okay, yeah, I guess you don't have that button right here. You know,
That might be
I'm
it.
not quite sure. Maybe we could try it. Yeah. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
But the Labor Day weekend
Locked and loaded.
The unofficial end of summer's only a week away. Beachgoers trying to get a little more time in the ocean, but as Bill Nader reports, a tiny little creek is making this miserable for some on the East Coast.
Sea lice causing outbreaks of itching and burning bumps for many people trying to enjoy the waters off the coast of Maryland. Sea lice aren't really lice, they're microscopic jellyfish. And
Is this the
when
one?
they get under your bathing suit, look out. You are in for some itchy little bites in some very tender places.
Some swimmers notice that they start to feel itchy right after they get out of the water, but other people, 2 to 4 days is the time frame where we will see that eruption.
Vic, you ready?
I'm ready. Exciting.
Up to a week. The sea lice haven't been limited to Maryland. The Baltimore Sun says there had been reports of them earlier in the year in Florida and the Carolinas. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Folks in Jacksonville, Florida today mourning the loss of life in a
Yes,
shooting following last
can you hear me?
football game at Rains High School.
Okay, so this must be the button then, right?
Injured police have a suspect in custody. And there was a shooting near a high school in Fairfield, California. A 16-year-old boy was killed and an 18-year-old is in critical condition.
This one right here?
Fairfield Police Lieutenant Greg Probut says
that
they made arrests.
Subject fled the scene, appeared to be connected to the shooting, and that subject
Okay.
was located mixed in amongst the students in the gym.
2 people are in custody. And about face from a prominent CEO.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk saying investors convinced him in a meeting not to take the company private. Musk issued a statement Friday saying the firm remains on the public stock markets for now. Musk saying investors told him they had internal rules limiting just how much they can
All right,
sink
so
into the private company.
Fox's Paul
we're getting ready to go live
Musk made
in
waves
moments.
this summer by saying he might take Tesla private. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News Radio.
From the Corey Diamonds and Design Traffic Center.
Delays around the downtown area as you move northbound on the Gulf Freeway from Telephone past 69. 69 also heavy from I-10 down past the split with 288. And you also have slow traffic on the outbound side of the North Freeway from 410 up to Tidwell. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is brought to you by Office Depot Office Max. If your back-to-school shopping list is testing your budget, the answer is shopping at Office Depot Office Max. From pencils to laptops and everything in between, you'll find low prices all summer long online, on their app, or in-store at the place that's serious about supply.
Houston, Texas. There's a new sheriff in town when it comes to buying cars. Give me the VIN.com. If I don't beat a CarMax offer, I'll send you a check for $100. Period in the store.
Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on the Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
When you've got big problems, you need to have a big, you need Eric Dick, homeowner insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education. This is the Eric Dick Show.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on the very first ever Eric Dick Show. Exciting with yours truly as a guest. I have my wingman, Chris Carmona.
Hello, hello.
Another fantastic attorney in the Houston area. And we are going to talk about a lot of really exciting stuff. I know, I really get excited when I talk about homeowners insurance.
I know you do, man. And, you mentioned homeowners insurance, and, it's hard not to mention the end of August and then to think of the end of August last year, what we had with Harvey.
Oh, how can I forget Harvey? Oh, the storm that overwhelmed me. Let's start talking about Harvey, because it was an interesting time in Houston last year. We're talking, and this is almost, I think tomorrow is the anniversary. Yeah. I think one thing, if we're just talking straight up with Harvey, that people need to know that a lot of people don't understand is if you do have I'm going to start going lawyer here, so you guys are going to have to forgive me. I'm going to start.
It is a legal show.
It is a legal show. I'm going to start dropping information that's pretty important. So if you have a flood insurance policy, I commonly refer to it as NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program. It's really important that you file your proof of loss by tomorrow. Well, actually not tomorrow, by Monday, which would be the 1-year anniversary. If you've already filed a proof of loss, no big deal. But if you haven't filed a proof of loss, so let me kind of back up a little bit. If you were flooded by Harvey, if
you have any property damage that was related from the storm of Harvey last year, they probably want to take your advice pretty seriously right now, because there's a lot of people that have been hurt by this financially. And it's been a long process, with FEMA not being responsive as we thought they were going to be, with the city, with different charity organizations. Some people just have no help coming to them, right? And so if they need legal assistance, what is the pathway that they should have been following? And it's not too late to still go on and get this done by the deadline of the 1-year anniversary, right?
For flood, if you're talking wind, if you're talking other stuff, it's different. But for flood, if you have a dispute as to your loss, it's pretty much, Monday's the deadline to file your proof of loss, and you absolutely have to file a proof of loss. After you file the proof of loss, you can go back, you can dispute it, you could whatever, you can have your fight, but you have a 1-year deadline. It usually it's like 30 days or 60 days, but they extended it to 1 year. So you have to file that proof of loss if you have a dispute with your flood insurance policy. Now, if it's there's a lot of other things that happened with Hurricane Harvey that we could talk about, but I just really wanted to emphasize, and I'll probably emphasize that a bit with that 1-year proof of loss, because not many people are talking about it. A lot of people don't understand it, but you can get that form online for the proof of loss, but it has to be filed within 1 year. I just wanted to say that a lot so people, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really important because you lose all your claims.
Now, can they find that form at the Dick Law Firm website?
I imagine they could. If I don't really do flood insurance claims very much. I do a few of them because I typically do first party insurance with my firm. If they called me or messaged me, I'd point you the right direction. But it's not really, I'm not trying to get business from this at all. In fact, I kind of don't really want the business. I'm just trying to provide basic information that people should know. I'd hope they know, and they don't. But it's just not explained enough about the 1-year proof of loss.
And no one's gonna highlight this and promote, come and file a claim by Monday. So it's a good thing that you're actually here today, telling all the listeners about this 1-year deadline to make sure that they do get that proof of claim in if they do have one before the deadline, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's only for the flood insurance policies. The windstorm and all that is a completely different beast. It's completely different type of stuff. And we could naturally, I guess we could talk about the windstorm a little bit. And I'll talk about insurance till I'm blue in my face. And again, it's horribly exciting stuff. People live on Facebook see the faces I'm making. Okay, so the windstorm, that's interesting. There was a lot of, whenever Harvey hit, there was maybe those that were here. Remember, there's a number of like little tornadoes that tagged along all over the city, north side. Like right after Harvey, I physically inspected a couple of buildings, and I was kind of amazed by the amount of wind damage. Where you had one building where the roof was torn off, where they flooded both ways, from the bottom up and the top down, and you see a lot of that in Houston. And what's sad, just from my own personal experience, is a number of insurance companies, they just take this hard position that there just wasn't any wind damage at all, that Harvey was just a water event, and that's all it was. There's only flood. It didn't involve there was no winds, and it's just not true. And it just simply isn't true. Unless the stuff I've seen firsthand, and many of other people have suffered with the windstorm and the wind damages and the tornadoes that came through. So it's just sad that that's kind of the state of affairs. I don't want to dwell on this whole insurance too much.
And that's the thing. I mean, we've, as we approach the 1 year anniversary of Harvey, I mean, there's still a lot of families out there that haven't been given the assistance needed. And so, it's always right to make sure we remember those who have lost items. And, there were some lost lives in Harvey as well. One of Houston's most tragic events overall. And so when people and families are trying to rebuild their life, a year later, there's still things that need to be done. It's a good thing we have lawyers like Eric B. Dick there to make sure that they can advocate for people and for families to make sure that they can get their house back in order, even as we approach the 1 year mark.
But it was just more than windstorm and flooding. You had a number of other factors kind of going on. You had the chemical plant that exploded that wasn't really expected, and that caused a lot of damage, a lot of craziness.
A lot of collateral damage, just from the floods, the winds, everything that's associated with a catastrophic event. So Eric B. Dick, Chris Carmona, we'll be back after this short break.
Thank you guys so much. I didn't hear the trigger. I guess
when she said 30 seconds, I was like, oh. I didn't hear the music till around 35.
I heard something. We'll get better. That's okay. We'll figure it out.
Were we okay?
Can y'all hear okay? Oh, can you guys hear okay?
Yeah, he gave the thumbs up.
It might be that you have an honest disagreement or an honest mistake, but you don't want to go.
All right, so when we come back from this break,
you need to call Top.
What is that? Phillips said anything? Is he
They have a local.
All of our phones are
and this is what
recording something right now.
Oh, Philip's calling right now.
They know
Is he?
how to deal with the IRS. And frankly,
You hear Philip?
if you owe $10,000 or more,
Okay. Hey, Chris, go down and get Philip.
I'll be right back.
Chris, come down.
713-489-7433. 713-489-7433. What's at stake here? You're dealing with the IRS. Think about it for a minute. Are you going to go that alone? No. Call.
I hope I didn't throw you off.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
No, I'm okay. I didn't mind at all. I'll get lost in just blabbing.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, I'll give you a 30-second mark and then a 10-second. And so I could just do it with my hands if that's better for you, or I can do it in your ear.
It's in my ears better because I'm more distracted with all the information.
Understandable.
That depends. Are you a fan?
No, I'm disgusted that you just sexually assaulted me.
Oh, well, in that case, my name is Brian Williams.
No, it isn't. You're lying. Just like Brian Williams does. Except you're not Brian Williams. I knew I should have gotten that concrete sidewalk fixed.
Sounds like someone should have called Southern Concrete Raising. Southern Concrete Raising is Houston's finest leveling and raising specialists. They fix concrete with no gimmicks. Don't let that crack in your sidewalk create a legal problem for you just because you were too busy to get it fixed. My friend Ty Strickland can send someone over to your property free of charge to give you a quote on your concrete. You don't even have to be there when they come by. They'll take care of everything. Find them online at SouthernConcreteRaising.com.
Come plug in over here.
It's Doug Mike from 50 Plus. If you haven't taken a look lately at the UT Health Science Center Consortium on Aging website, you need to do so. They've freshened it up. There's so much information.
We're back. Sorry about that.
People like you, people
Dumped y'all on the side.
older
I was negligent.
and want to talk to somebody people who are focused on our care, on geriatric medicine. I'm not geriatric yet, but hey, I'm old.
Where you gonna sit? You gonna sit over there? Oh, well, plug in over there.
UTH.edu/aging.
So I just discovered DazzleMe.com. It started out as the jewelry department at the Home Consignment Center, and now their entire jewelry collection, one of my rings is there as well. That's on DazzleMe.com. From the big name.
All right, so we'll transition. We'll talk about
to the unique design.
Talk about the
Still talk about Harvey. We can talk a little bit more about Harvey.
Yeah.
I know people on my Facebook want me to talk a little bit about Twitter, which is a big mess in itself. And I know they want me to talk a little bit about Beto and Cruz, which is a really fascinating thing. But
2 points, 4 points close.
I think Cruz could lose that. Cruz really.
Hold and sponsor lots of stuff within the country club so we can bring in bands.
So, give us some feedback what you think right now. It's our first live segment ever. I'm the Eric. Myself, Eric Dick. We just got a new guest in today. Philip Paul Bryant just walked in the studio. So, but drop some comments, man. Let us know how we're doing. What do you want to hear? We're going to talk about Harvey a lot today and going back to school. We'll throw a little bit of politics in at the end or somewhere where we can fit it. But send us our questions and we'll give a call-in number in a minute. Y'all can call up here.
On KPRC 950.
Okay. All right. Am I on? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Oh, so exciting. We're back. Back for more. Couldn't get enough.
Welcome back to the Eric Dick Show on KPRC 950 AM. Eric, so when we left off, man, we were talking about Harvey and its devastation. And just so we make sure we have everybody on the same page when it comes to the flood claims, they can go to FEMA.gov and actually pick up that application.
Yes.
Correct?
And it's a proof of loss. Its deadline is Monday. It's 1 year. It was extended to 1 year. That's just, and I know we've talked about that a lot, but it doesn't hurt to say it again. But something else to talk about is so we're going with Harvey and all that. So TWIA, Texas Windstorm Insurance Association, which is kind of a nightmare in itself. There's been a lot of problems with TWIA, to be fair, since its conception. This isn't the first time that there are big problems with TWIA. TWIA is basically the last resort insurance company. It's government funded. It's for people off the coast, Galveston, Brazoria County, Corpus Christi, right off the coast. So whenever Harvey hit, it primarily did hit people that had policies with Texas Windstorm. I bring this up, the problems that Texas Windstorm has had in the past. So whenever Hurricane Ike was going on, they got in a lot of trouble. They basically decided that they just weren't going to pay anything. basically. And I know that's probably abbreviating too much.
And it's only gotten worse since that time, right? I mean, we keep passing some laws to make it harder for homeowners to actually recover. And TWIA is a big part of that, correct?
And then we wonder why the race between Beto and Ted Cruz is so close. And don't get me wrong, I'm voting for Ted Cruz, but we wonder why it's so close whenever we pass laws that are anti-consumer, that are anti-people.
Yeah, there seems to be a trend to hurt the little guy over and over again. And then when we have these events, like we had an Ike and then we have a Harvey, we got to be careful about who we're actually protecting, because we start hurting all the homeowners and the consumers. It's just going to be a long road for everybody who's in power right now.
It's not going to be a long road. They're going to lose. I mean, and Ted Cruz should be completely scared, and he is acting scared, as he should be, because you've got Beto. And I'm not saying Beto's a better candidate, because he's not. But what's going on with Beto is he has a good message. He's saying no more corruption. I'm done with corruption. I mean, is he really? I don't know about that. But he's saying no more corruption. I'm not taking PAC money. And he's getting some movement. And he really could win.
I mean, he's not taking PAC money, but he's taking all kinds of foreign money outside the great state of Texas. But yeah, I mean, great point. I mean, especially at the federal level, when we have these natural disasters, we turn to the federal government to do the emergency aid. And, did we see anything put forward recently or last year that actually going to protect these consumers? Is Beto going to campaign on that? Is Cruz going to be able to recover from that? Is he going to make that a huge campaign issue between now and November?
It absolutely could happen. I mean, I don't think Ted Cruz is going to embrace, and it's unfortunate. But I don't think Ted Cruz is going to embrace consumerism. I don't think he is. I wish he would. I think it would help him. I don't think he is. I hope that more people, Republicans on the local level, embrace consumerism, because it's their constituents. It's literally their constituents. And whenever they side with special interest, big money, big business over individuals, I mean, what do you expect? They're going to vote, especially with the Hurricane Harvey. So you had a new law that went into place like literally 2 weeks or the week of Hurricane Harvey. I think it might have even been maybe a couple days of Hurricane Harvey, 542A. And so this put
the Texas Insurance Code 542A, right?
Yes, Texas Insurance Code 542A. And this was, and I'm gonna give you some quotes, because, quote, greedy lawyers were filing claims, and this is the rationale, because greedy, evil lawyers were filing claims, even though they're filing on behalf of their people that they're hired for. But lawyers only good whenever, I guess, you need one, right? And that's the joke. So these big bad lawyers.
Wait, greedy trial lawyers. You got to make sure you put that in greedy trial lawyers.
Yeah, because considering that there's more lawyers on the Republican side than there are the Democrat side, it's just nonsensical. It's just all that is. It's just big money being funneled from special interests for propaganda, and it's corruption, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that. But so you had that being pushed, you had the law changed where basically it's difficult. You have to have a high level of precision when you're making your demand letter. If you're not perfectly right, you lose your client's right to recover attorney fees. So guess what happens? Is not hardly any lawyers are interested in the cases. There's a handful of them, and I do those cases, but not a whole lot of attorneys do those cases. You have a market that's needed. You have a bad storm come through, and you have a whole bunch of people upset, and they're upset at they're upset at a lot of things. But this new law that got pushed by Republicans, that doesn't help. That doesn't help, especially in this year when you have a whole wave coming from Donald Trump. You have a whole national wave being pushed. It doesn't help.
It's the resentment. It's the anti-alt-right movement this year. And when you have people, especially in Harris County and the Houston area and Galveston, remembering Harvey and remembering that the effect it still has on them, they're going to remember that in November. Who's helped them over this past year? Was it Republicans or was it Democrats? Or was it neither?
Of course they are. And I'll tell you, just on a positive, because I'm a positive guy. I've been really impressed with Jack Mormon. Jack Mormon on the local level, our Republicans some of them are really, really good. I imagine there's some there are some that are bad too, but there's some that are really good.
We got rid of some of those in the primary, right?
Yeah, some of the extremely corrupt judges, and there's a lot of that going on. We got rid of that, and we're still working. I know we've got, and I'm just going to say, we got a drunk chairman on behalf of the Harris County Republican Party that we got to deal with, but that's not either here or there now. Now what we got to do.
Drunk on liquor or drunk on power?
I think it's both.
Probably both.
It's both. He barely won. It cost $400,000 for him to win that race. Whenever I think his challenger spent maybe $5,000.
Maybe $5,000.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at the dynamics, it's interesting. But I kind of don't want to dwell on that. Let's go. I know we do have a lot of stuff going on because it's back to school, and we got a fantastic guest that we're gonna talk to, Philip Paul Bryant.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here with some good people. Mr. Eric Dick, congratulations on your broadcast, Mr. Chris Cremona. I think this is a well put together show. I think it's really great that you guys are on air giving people legal, I don't know if you're allowed to call it advice or legal direction, for lack of a better word. And so kudos to you guys for taking time out of your day. I know you guys have a million things to do, but thanks for doing this show. Your listeners will be very well pleased and very well educated as a result of that. And as you guys know, coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Harvey, you guys know that for the last year, some of the listeners don't know, but for the last 9 years, Eric Dick, along with other sponsors and underwriters, have made it possible in the Fifth Ward area to be able to give away upwards of 500 or 600 backpacks and school supplies each year. And this year alone, we're well surpassed that. We're almost at 900 backpacks.
900 backpacks.
Supplies. And this is a direct result of charitable giving of Mr. Eric Dick, his other colleagues, some of the judges, Judge Sherry Dean, Judge Roy Moore.
Yeah, don't be shy, Phil. Don't be shy. Let everyone know who these people are to put this thing together.
Alicia York. There's a dozen or so judges who, and just for the record, I want to go on record of saying this. They're not going to get votes from 12-year-old African-American kids in Fifth Ward.
No.
So it's not a political thing. It's not something they do to try to boost their credentials. They do it because they care about others. They care about the kids. And they understand that they're making an investment in the lives of young people. And a kid over in Fifth Ward or Cashmere area may very well be the next Mark Zuckerberg or the next Chris Brown or Michael Jackson or LeBron James, and so
they could have used somebody other than Chris Brown. I mean, we don't want any domestic violence. But you say that though, and if you listen,
meaning that they're talented. That's the route I was going with.
But if you listen to the names you repeated back in terms of the donations, in terms of the judges, a lot of those are family law judges in Harris County,
Absolutely.
Great family law judges, and I think for them, you hit it right on the dot. Is they don't do it for votes, they do it because they see the litigants day in and day out, every week, every year, coming through those courtrooms. And a lot of the times it's from families that are broken or not of high value or not, in terms of their financial capital, their financial assets. And they see the effect of not having the proper tools in the home available, whether it's a pencil or a pen. We got to make sure we're equipping the kids properly. And that's what Philip Paul Bryant has been doing for the last 9 years at the Island of Hope Church with his back to school drive.
And it's just an amazing drive. We're going to take a break, guys. Thank you so much. This is Eric Dick, and we got Philip Paul Bryant as a guest, and we'll see you shortly. Thank you guys so much.
First of all, I
Good job, Philip. Good job.
Of the Michael Berry Show and our entire station.
I'm not new to this. I'm true to this.
That's a good transition, man.
We're going to have y'all turn on your mics so we don't have any chatter if we're not ready yet. Do you know what I mean? So you see your on button right there?
Yes.
So whenever you're ready to go, hit it on.
So right here?
Yeah, coming back from the break?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yours is right over there. There you go. And then yours is right over there. On. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. So it's off right now.
It's off right now. So whenever you're ready to go. Cool. Okay.
How's it sounding?
Sounds great. Sounds really good. Yeah. Have you done radio before?
I played with it when my brother's on on-air personality.
Oh, cool. All right.
So I played with him sometimes. I used to. I haven't done it in probably 10 years.
Comes back. Absolutely. Sounds great, guys.
It's free. 877-717-PTSD.
You've got lots of
So if my brother's listening,
yard equipment, ATVs, motorcycles,
constructive feedback
watercraft, you name it, and they all use fuel.
later on, not right now.
These same fluids that make your engine run also create deposits that reduce
Oh.
performance and gas mileage. Gum Out multi-system tune removes these gummy carbon deposits and
All right, so we're about we're at the halfway mark. So Philip, we're gonna come back out the break.
Get a can today. Just $6.47 at your
We can transition back out over the after he's done with this segment. Transition back over to Harvey. Now,
Yeah.
this time over there.
I got you.
I'd like to also talk to, like, he brushed in some really great judges I'd like to talk about. I think Sherry Dean, she really is tough. Sherry's really good. I'd like to talk about Sherry. Sherry's really just, I mean, to be fair, if more Republicans did that, it wouldn't be a sweet county.
Yeah, because Dean and Moore have been doing it from the beginning, right? Or almost from the beginning.
Yeah, no, actually, first year. Eric,
2010.
Judge Sheridan, and Judge Moore.
713-489.
Actually, Chris Daniels, but he comes in and out sometimes.
489.
Oh, CD?
What's at stake?
Let me take my face off the camera.
Think about it.
He tries.
The experts call
Oh,
We can also talk about, I don't think we need to talk about the department. We can, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary.
Oh, but we can talk about the bond vote today.
That's really important.
Transition.
The bond vote's really important.
Yeah, that's happening right now. And it ends at what, 7? So you heard this say right when they gave us the countdown or when we're going back in. When you hear the music start playing back in, it's breaking in.
And we gotta push the button.
Hit the on button. You go back on.
I got it.
or more.
I don't know if it's coming back in a while ago. We're like, are they going to say, and we're back?
During the off season,
So we'll say that. We can lead in with, and we're back.
protesting police violence or whatever the hell it is.
Make sure you put the show's name, like you're saying, very good show.
Yeah.
So that way, if they're not listening on air, they're
We
listening.
can take some callers too.
Yeah.
I'll take some callers. Maybe we'll do another segment and take. Well, maybe we'll do half a segment and take callers.
Hey, we'll go back to tell every other the backpacks, yeah, all the list of what they have there. You know, tell the kids they can bring their school supply list and go shopping. Yeah. So make sure you detail other than backpacks, say everything else they have. Tell the kids to bring their paper and their little list, and they can mark it off and pick up their supplies. And then I tell everybody how I just spent so much money, I'm gonna go return it and then go back.
How much you raise so much money on?
Spent like $150 on school supplies. I'm about to go get my lift my receipts.
That's funny. So easy. You know, he never brings the girls.
KPRC on iHeartRadio.
And we're back for more. Eric Dick at my show, talking about Hurricane Harvey, talking about going back to school, and we have a special guest, Philip Paul Bryant, who does every year Backpack to Fifth Ward with some of the most amazing people that help him.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, did we announce that he was world-renowned author, Philip Paul Bryant?
Y'all forgot to announce
that.
that.
We forgot that part.
Forgot to announce that.
Philip Paul, what's the book you have? What's your latest book you have out right
It's
now?
called Death of a Community, How the Church, the Police, and Facebook Are Shaping Our Future. I'm actually working on another piece. I hope to get it released by mid-December. And it's going to be talking about hurricane preparedness, things you can do. Actually, national disaster preparedness. So things to do in the case of hurricane, tornadoes, terrorist attack, school active shootings. And so I'm actually going to be working with Attorney Eric Dick on that book. And so we hope to have that out because it's not about just trying to get it out right before hurricane season. So we want to make sure we have everything in there because on a regular basis, we need to make sure that we're prepared and we're preemptive on protecting our homes and our families. And so I'm really excited about that. One other thing I want to make mention of is tomorrow, we mentioned the back to school, the 9th annual. It's going to be tomorrow at 12 noon. It's going to be at the Island of Hope Church. That's 1505 Gregg Street. And that's in Houston, Texas. Right there on the corner of Lyons in Gregg. And you go over about one other block and you'll see the big dome church, the Island of Hope Church, Bishop Bryant, the whole team there. And you'll see some judges, unlike where you usually will see them in a robe, in the court, super official. You know, Judge Moore comes there in his shorts. Judge Dean comes there with her grandkids, and Mr. Lance, her husband, volunteers. We still need volunteers, but a lot of times people from their actual court coordinators and stuff like that actually come to the event and volunteer. They don't get paid for this. No one gets paid for it, but it's an investment in the kids and an investment in the community. And also we have some pretty good entertainment because the goal is to not just give the kids the backpacks, because, you know, you can just form a line in the park somewhere and hand out backpacks. But the goal is to bring elected officials, people who may be considered role models in our communities, and have them all saying to the kids, it's important to stay in school, it's important to get good grades, and we're here, we got your back. So we have a talented, we'll have step teams there, we'll have karate teams performing.
And you got manicures and
manicures and free haircuts, because we want to encourage the kids to, no excuses, right? Everyone's on your side. You got everything you need. We're going to make sure you look good. And so we're super excited about it. This is year 9. So Eric Dick is officially has hood credentials.
He has tenure in the hood now.
He has a hood pass. I come to the 5th Ward.
I get my pass to 5th Ward because I got their back and I got their backpack. Yeah, I want to talk.
We need to brand that. That was good.
I do like branding. You have to admit that. But Sherry Dean, I've been so impressed with everything she's done with the Backpack to 5th Ward. She has put in a lot of effort on this. In fact, she called me, and no, she didn't call me. She messaged me, Eric, you better donate this time. Yes, Judge, I'm donating. Yes, Judge. She really takes this personal, and it's kind of amazing seeing her there because she knows the kids. She goes and checks with them every year, make sure they're doing good. And it's really, I'm going to have to say that Sherry Dean is one of the role models, at least in the Republican Party. She should be, because if more people were acting how she acts, and she's doing it in all sincerity, there's nothing but sincerity. But if more Republicans actually cared on the local level, maybe it wouldn't be a swing district. That's just my humble opinion.
When you go into her courtroom, she, her biggest thing is family matters. Just saying, and she lives that motto. She lives that mantra because everything she does in the courtroom and outside the courtroom is always to better the families and better the kids. And so,
and one other point about Judge Jean, she has a huge heart, and so some of you may not know this, but this past Sunday, her mom actually passed, and I know that her and her family was out in, I believe it was Lufkin this weekend, dealing with that. But when I tell you, in the middle of that family coming together and needing to take care of that, she was still calling and texting every day. She's not doing it for show. She really cares. There's no cameras out there these years. It's just out there doing what it takes to help the kids. And I did want to make mention of a couple other names that she gave me. Judge James Lambino.
Oh, Lamberdino.
Judge
Lamberdino.
Judge John Schmoody.
Schmoody, yes.
Judge Charlie Prime.
Oh, Charlie's a really good guy.
Judge Ron Moore, Judge Alicia York, and of course, Trustee Dick.
Yeah. Judge Prine he's another really great guy. You mentioned a few of them. Judge Schmoody, John Schmoody, he's another that was an interesting race, and I can talk all about that. Where you had an incumbent that just pushed this policy where if you didn't take a parenting class, you didn't get custody or even visitation. It was just insane, just bad. I mean, you don't want that person in any party. But I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that you have that John Schmoody's involved. That of course Charlie Prime is one of the nicest people around. You got good people pushing this, which it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
It is absolutely the right thing to do, and more people need to be trying to help others.
And I want one last thing. I want to make mention that last year was pretty special because obviously with Hurricane Harvey, we actually had to reschedule. As you remember, we actually had to reschedule the back to school event for the following weekend just because that weekend, the fourth Sunday, which would have been around the 27th of August of last year, people were stuck in their homes. People didn't have power. People didn't have proper communication. So we were forced to reschedule the back to school event. And we reached out to our sponsors, Eric Dick and Judge Dean, and we let them know, hey, you know what? I know this is a back to school giveaway, but we need to add some clothes and some food. And our sponsors last year stepped it up, and we were able to give out clothes, food, and other toiletries to the community. And so we're happy that this year we're not needed to give out additional clothes and food.
But you won't turn them away if somebody brings some clothes up there and they have a lot. I mean, because kids do a lot, especially in ISD. A lot of them need the uniforms.
Oh, absolutely. And it's still people are still displaced a year later.
So with this in mind, Harvey going back to school today is also, and there's also some other stuff going on today. You got a bond proposal. Today's the last day. It's election day for to add some more debt, and
and there's a lot of confusion on this bond issue too, because when first we had the county judge specifically say he wanted this special election because he didn't want to have to campaign for himself and the bond in November. So he asked the governor to set this in August. And the governor's response was, you already have the money coming and it's now, so I don't know why you really need this, but I'll go ahead and set it for you anyways. So when the governor says that, Eric, Phillip, do we need this $2.5 billion additional when the governor already says it's coming?
I don't. But
the thing that I like about it is, in all fairness to Judge Emmett and his team, I know Owens and a few other people down there, they've done a good job, in my opinion. And obviously, you have up until about 7 p.m. today to go vote. But in my opinion, they did a good job to try to spell out street corner by block by block exactly where those funds were going to be allocated towards. So whether or not areas or certain communities need those fundings or need that money, I can say that they were transparent in rolling out there exactly where those monies and where those dollars were going to go. So I appreciate that.
But the money's already, that money that is being, I won't say allocated, but needed for those areas, that's already coming from the state, right?
Well, if you've seen some of the devastation out there, and I know you have, Cremona,
yeah.
So it's a rhetorical question. So going out there and Kojic, we were donated a huge 60,000 square foot facility after Harvey, which Kojic Charities and Kojic Urban Initiatives were able to come in and set up a resource center where people can come get goods and other services. And we took it with Bishop Macklin and Bishop Blake and Bishop Bryant. We took a tour around certain areas. And if you were to see some of those areas and some of the devastation, and it wasn't just poor African American and Hispanic
everywhere.
It was everywhere. And if you were to see some of those areas, I guarantee it, from my perspective, you can't give enough money to one, to help those people be restored, and two, to try to prevent this from happening again.
And also you have everyone all along Barker Dam that flooded. And
absolutely.
It's just a big
and none of that
mess.
money touches that area as a project though, right? So
that's the county. Maybe
yeah.
we'll talk more about that soon. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to take another little break. I've got Phil Paul Bryant as a guest. This is Eric Dick and Chris Carmona's playing Wingman. Thank you guys.
Wingman, come on. Oh, Mr. Devil's Advocate.
No, it was good. It was good content.
You Republicans, man, I tell you.
That was good
The
content.
Republicans are supporting us. What are you talking about?
It's just
Some of the Republicans are.
yeah, some of them are. I'm not necessarily, but it's just
The Emmett Republicans.
it's just good. It's good talk. It's good stuff to talk about. It's good fodder. I do think that if Ed Emmett, if the city did more like how Ed Emmett was like, this is where the money's going, all that, they would have less blowback. With
Yeah,
I think he did.
that was smart on campaign wise to build it out, but yeah, but when Emmett says you don't really need the money because it's coming, you have it around, it should be there by August. But go ahead, let's put it on the ballot.
And Jack Morgan was there saying, do we really need to do this?
Yeah.
You have to give fighting Jack. He's not been doing bad. I've been really impressed with how Jack's been campaigning.
He's finally I mean, I won't say he's been quiet. He just does his job. He doesn't ever do any hoorah and all that over the last 4 years.
He's just in the community. That's all he is.
He does his job.
Unless you're in the community, you
And
don't
then,
see
but like, even 4 years ago, he didn't campaign. I don't think he had a 4 years ago.
out there who donate.
No, but this campaign is it's pretty strong, man.
That's a solid campaign. He's in the community. You think
Volunteer. I want to thank so many of you who just raised awareness.
that's a great
You ever
job.
see much from Adrian?
PTSD have a place to go.
Adrian's a career politician that's just gone from spot to spot to spot. The Democrats don't even like Adrian.
717-717-7873.
Shot a lot of his little capital on the mayor's race, and then back after that, going against Jimmy Green.
Now let our other veterans serve you.
One after the other. So
There is an answer. Call Camp Hope. It's
Dylan,
877-717-PTSD.
how you doing out there, man? You doing
That
good?
intro is great.
Oh, the intro?
Yeah, the intro is hysterical. It's great. The intro is horrible.
Sarah Barrett,
So much information there.
Dylan Glass.
And want to talk with somebody.
You have any questions? Hey, we need some, when we come back in, get the calling number.
Yeah,
If anybody has any questions about RV issues or the back to school event, have them call in, and then we'll see if we can get some patches. How y'all doing over here? I haven't checked that out in a while.
You guys doing good? You guys doing good?
Most of the employees, including the owner, are former military themselves. Best place to get training, practice,
Can't
license
see.
to carry, and a great rental fleet. So you can shoot their guns, go and rent them there. 713-779-GUNS, TopGunRange.com.
You've got lots of engines in your life.
When,
Cars, fire equipment, ATVs, motorcycles, watercraft, you name it. And they all use fuel and oil. These same fluids that make your engine run also create deposits that reduce performance and gas mileage. Gun Out multi-system tune-up removes these gummy carbon deposits and stabilizes fuel and oil, helping restore performance and fuel economy. Get a can today.
Philip, we're talking about your book. I was actually going to spin that over to Philip Paul Books Library. Where can they buy this book? Philip speaks of.
That's right.
Oh, you can't get there by bus? You need to buy a new car?
Philip Paul Fry's car.
Used cars. You can't wake up in the morning. You need some coffee. Go to Phil Paul's Coffee House.
That's right. 30 seconds. All right. Okay.
Yeah. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. From around town.
The city of Houston to overcome our obstacles and our hurdles.
That's funny though.
The world is talking about it.
Remember to hit your on button going back in.
Ride home with Joe Pags.
Lots going on, lots more to get to.
Monday evening at 6 on KPRC 950.
And we're back. Eric Dick, back with special guest Philip Paul Bryant, is back to school, 9th annual Backpack to 5th Ward.
Making a difference.
You know what really impresses me about Philip Paul Bryant is that he actually does good for the community. I mean, he has two first names, Philip Paul. You know they always said that those two first name guys, you gotta watch out for them. But
Technically, I got three first names. Philip Paul Bryant.
That's true.
And three last names.
Man, I thought we'd see you on the news for other items, but man, good seeing him doing some good for the community.
Philip's done a lot of good for the community for a lot of things. But anyway, maybe we'll take.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
Hurricane Harvey may be the most costly storm in history. And if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, this is America. We have rights. You have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. There's always hope. Call me today at 833-3HARVEY.
Some phone calls. Maybe if anyone decides they want to call in.
Yeah, if you have any questions about the back to school drive coming up tomorrow at the Island of Hope Church, or maybe any Harvey related questions about insurance claims, the process, feel free to give us a call. That number is
713-212-5950. That's 713-212-5950. Anyway, so we were talking about Harvey. Maybe we'll go back, kind of talk a little bit more about Harvey, the bond election. I know it's the elections today. So what I found like good, I mean, I almost always vote no if it involves a bond election or any type of tax increase. It's hard for me to vote yes for that. But having said all that, so you could probably figure out where I'm going to vote. But having said all that, what I am really impressed with is how Ed Emmett kind of positioned this. Not that he kind of weaseled into avoiding the general election. I'm not very impressed with that, but I am impressed with how he explained basically what they needed, where the money's going to be spent. And I think that level of transparency, kudos to you, Ed Emmett. Kudos to, the team that's campaigning on that. I am also impressed that Jack Mormon, he stood up. He's like, do we really need to be doing this? And I have to say, I know it's a hot race, but Jack Mormon has been doing just such a killer job in his campaign. I've been nothing but impressed with that guy. And he won just out of a complete fluke. He's another great example of how Republicans should kind of campaign, how their positions should be, because he just cares about his community. He really does. And
that's where you see the success. In Harris County, and especially a lot of urban areas around the country, it's when you truly care about the community and where you live, and you're making that voter contact and not considering voters, but actual people in your district. That's where you're seeing the success in these candidates and people like Jack Mormon. I mean, doing it right and knocking it out the park.
Yeah, and Jack, it's like he won. It was just a complete fluke because Sylvia Garcia had like $2 million, $3 million she was just sitting on. She thought she was going to walk with the race, and Jack had like 2 pennies to his name. His campaign was pretty much bubblegum and shoestrings. The guy, he's just struggling to get. It'd be like just some guy just decide they're going to run for office. They run and they end up winning. And they're kind of, I'm sure he was taken back, blown away. No one expected Jack Mormon to win.
It's almost like Helena Brown in 2011.
It's actually, it is similar to that, but it was more mind-blowing because it was such a large spot. And you had fighting Jack Mormon just go in there. He's been doing a good job since. I'm really impressed with him. I really am. And there's not a whole lot of people I am impressed with, but I'm really, really impressed with Jack Mormon.
Speaking of being impressed, again, tomorrow, the 9th annual Island of Hope Backpack to 5th Ward back to school drive. Philip Paul Bryan has been doing that impressively for the last 9 years, and having the big support from Eric Dick and Judge Sherry Dean and Judge Warren Moore, and then now a host of other judges have jumped into the fray, family law judges, and it's going to be a huge event tomorrow, so make sure y'all come by and check that out. That's from 12 to
2:30.
12 to 2:30. Now, other than the backpacks, what else are you going to have there, Philip?
We're going to have school supplies, man. We're going to have everything that they need as far as starting school. And I know some kids have already started school. I believe HISD starts on Monday. And so and I encourage parents, if you don't have any kids or the kids are grown, come on out, volunteer. Because you can make a difference just by encouraging a kid to stay in school, get good grades, and just let them see some positive role models. You're familiar with the area, 5th Ward. There's a lot of questionable stuff going on around there. So to see some positive influences, we got a liquor store about 3 blocks away where every day when kids walk home from school, they'll see behind a liquor store, just a crowd of people just drinking and hanging out. And so to push on them some positiveness, some you can do it. I mean, it'll go a long way. So you never know exactly what's going on in the home. And so just to be that unbiased voice of saying, hey, you can do this. I think you're going to be great. What do you think about being a doctor? What do you think about being an attorney? What do you think about running for office one day? Hey, you know, you can be an astronaut or run for president. So just to have different voices, encourage kids. So come out, volunteer. If you think your kids already have everything they need, then bring them out anyway and let them rub off some of their good home training off on some kids who may not be as fortunate. So 1505 Greg Street, that's tomorrow at 12 o'clock sharp. We're going to have drill teams there. We're going to have praise dancers, karate performances.
It's going to be one big party, huh?
It's going to be a back-to-school party.
And again, kids, parents, bring those school lists with you. You can go and do your shopping there if you haven't done so already.
Absolutely.
I know I spent about $150 on my two girls this past week. I may go take that back to Walmart or Target and do my shopping at Island of Hope tomorrow. If there's some supplies left for the people who really need.
They may take your Republican
hey, you said you had plenty.
Okay, guys, okay. So we got kudos to you, Philip. You're doing a great job with Island of Hope. You got great people backing you on that. And you know, I guess we're gonna finish up the show. Maybe.
Yeah, if you have any questions, again, call in. The number again is
713-212-5950. Then you know, feel free to call in. But let's kind of maybe transition this a little bit. You know, the show's going to be on weekly. The next 2 weeks we're not going to be on because of U of H football, but we're getting our sea legs. We're coming back. We're going to have a lot of other great, you know, local guests. I'm going to be the host. I'm hoping I'm going to be the host unless someone comes and takes my name from me, which, you know, who knows what's going to happen.
You never know.
Never know.
Some dick try to take your name.
Yeah, no, everyone tries. Everyone does different things for different reasons. Okay, so anyway, so back to maybe let's talk about Harvey a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and we can't talk about that enough. Especially this weekend. Again, it's the 1 year anniversary. You know, that's why we really want to make sure that we also highlighted, you know, Philip Paul's back to school drive, because again, the devastation it put on a lot of families and the lasting effect it's had. It's not just the school supplies and the clothing, and there's still a lot of assistance needed with Harvey-related items and issues. And again, you know, if you have those questions and you need help and some guidance, it's not too late. You know, Eric Dick's always willing to offer the assistance where it's needed.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Dick Law Firm. You know, there's a lot of claims from Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey caused a lot of damage, and it's going to be a long time before everything's, you know, resolved. I know a lot of people are still fighting with their homeowners insurance companies over storm damage. A lot of people are fighting over TWIA, and that's just a show in itself with all the problems that TWIA's face and whether or not we should even have TWIA or whether even TWIA is worth the money people pay.
And if we want to get rid of or entities like TWIA or the policies like TWIA, then make sure you're holding those who make these laws accountable, right?
We should make sure we're holding those people accountable. People run for office, and you know, it's all what I've found is being involved in politics, being elected, being an attorney, is all this stuff is tied together. Politics, law, policy, government, it's all tied together. And if you're just trying to, you know, do the right thing, try to make a living, trying to, you know, help people, it gets hard. And, you know, it's easy to go down the path of being negative and being upset at the situation, but it's really hard to actually do something that's meaningful, that actually is worthwhile, and actually get paid for it. So, you know, I'm always impressed with people like Philip Paul Bryant that go out, and he just does a lot of different things. And I've always been impressed with what you do, Philip. I'm impressed with the Kojic PAC, which is it's a great organization that you're the chairman for.
Can we get you to put some of the stuff in writing, please?
Absolutely. But you've done really great. And But my point is this, that it's so easy to go down the path of just being negative and, oh no, everyone else, caused this. So thank you.
And it's good to have people like that in the community. And, if you're always getting pushed around, you got to make sure you have somebody in your corner that's a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher than the other guy. And that's Eric Dick.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at Dick Law Firm. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, guys. You have a great one.
Did you suffer property damage during Hurricane Harvey only to have your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your insurance company did you wrong because they didn't pay for your claim, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights. Call me today, 833-3HARVEY.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it is important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks. Because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks. You shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks. You can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks. Help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.
A Houston man tonight is taking on the city of Houston. He is suing, saying he has the constitutional right to feed the homeless this Thanksgiving and any other day that he chooses.
Fox 26's Domily Keith is live at Houston City Hall with more details on this. Domily?
Yeah, you may remember the charitable feeding ban went into effect a few years ago, making it illegal to feed the homeless. Well, Philip Paul Bryant says it shouldn't be against the law to give food to someone in need. He says it should be the other way around, a crime not to give.
Of just trying to make sure a fellow human doesn't starve.
It sounds simple enough.
We aren't asking for anything else than to be able to give food to those that are less fortunate. Please let us do it.
Houston City Council members say they passed the charitable feeding ban to ensure homeless people receive food prepared under health code regulations, and so those in need will turn to an organization to eat, so they will receive other resources, services, and shelter as well.
Many of them take probably no more than 150 people. How many homeless are there? You cannot fit all the homeless into the shelters.
We pursued this lawsuit because we felt the city was trying to disenfringe not only on the less fortunate, but also trying to discourage good people, good Samaritans from doing the right thing.
It's Thanksgiving. It's the whole purpose of this holiday is to share food and eat. Let us practice our religion. Let us follow our faith. That's all we're asking.
Someone doesn't give them food, they won't have food to eat that night.
Brian says a number of groups wanting to set up outdoors and feed the homeless this Thanksgiving are discouraged for fear of being punished by the police.
There's going to be a lot of people who are on that border of saying, yeah, do we feed them, do we not feed them, do we want to go to jail, do we want to get a ticket?
Now, those who want to gather and feed the homeless have to first get permission from the city, and depending on where you plan to set up, you'll have to get permission from the property owner as well. There is a $500 fine for violating the ban, and you could go to jail if you don't pay that fine. We're live in downtown Houston. I'm Damalie Keith, Fox 26 News.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights.
Call the Dick Law Firm now at 1-833-3HARVEY.
I gotta go live on. Okay. Hey, folks. Start another show. Message me. What do you got?
The Rockets. Why did they lose so bad last time, man? Dude, they made Montrezl Harrell look like an all-star. I mean, he was good when he played here, but he wasn't an all-star. This dude had a career night, 30 points.
The Rockets. And we go from being ranked #1 to like the worst team that exists.
I think we're down to like ranked number 16, 17 right now.
Jeez. I mean, it looks like, or at least Carmelo Anthony can play. That's the
Dude,
only
I'm
one
telling everybody that.
That's the only one that can play is Carmelo.
He's trying to redeem himself. He
He's
likes playing with Chris Paul. He really does. It's his best friend.
Oh, well, it'd be nice if Chris Paul played or anybody else. But Carmelo made some good points. Carmelo made 27 points last night. He did a good job.
Hitting from the three. Eric Gordon, did he show up or he was still asleep?
He's asleep. All the other ones asleep. But Carmelo Anthony did a pretty good job. No, I don't know, man. We'll see if the Rockets learn how to play again.
Yeah, they're trying to get Butler. They're putting in everything they can to get Butler. Rockets.
I don't even know if it matters.
I'm between work and family time, the family time of work. I had no time for it. Yeah, this guy. We don't even watch Ninja Warrior stuff most of the time. It was a Monday nights. Monday nights in USA, or it used to be. Now that's Monday Night Raw now. What does come on?
And if we do catch up, we're usually watching for the Houston folks, people we've met and trained with.
Yeah.
My daughter loves going, oh, look, there's Allison. Allison Templewine's one that's been a few times. Or, oh, look, there's Daniel. Daniel Gill's one of the biggest names in the sport right now. He trains at that gym.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to miss with this pretty boy hair. Well, him and his wife have the same hair. It's amazing. From the back, they look almost identical. He's a little bit taller, but not much.
Be glad he got hair. At this point in my life, I'd just be glad if I had some.
Me too. It fell down in my bag. I didn't have that in my youth, but now I do, so I know what it is.
Oh, well.
I mean, I still got it, just not where I want it.
I don't have. I mean, it's gone. Mine's gone.
I started losing my hair in my early 20s.
So I was at a CVS going to law school. And I looked, I'm like, man, that guy sure is going bald. And I move, I'm like, oh, dang, that's me. Yes.
That mirror up here like this to watch for sharp.
Yeah, we can see the back. Man, that guy sure ain't got no hair. I move a little bit, I'm like, oh.
I'm glad that's not me.
And it's only gotten worse and worse. And he gets some of the shoe polish just kind of put back there. So.
The hairspray?
Tattoo your head with black so it always looks like you have some on there.
Might as well at this point.
Man, I don't know, it's starting to hurt on the top. It's thinning out.
No, yours is fine.
It's because I comb it this way, you can't really tell. But if I go back, you just see nothing but scalp.
I'm in Japan coming out of the what's that thing called? It's one of our stores. I'm at the commissary though, because commissary is usually food. But it was a store on the outpost on the base. It was on Japan, Yokosuka. I'm walking down the steps, and all of a sudden all I hear is, "Oh my God, Bo, you're going bald!" There's a guy behind me. He was an AO. His name was Jason. And shouted out for everybody here. I didn't think much of it. Of course, that night I checked it, and he was right. Big old goose egg right back here. I just never noticed.
Well, that's a good thing. That's the good thing is you don't. If it's in the back, you just don't see it. They don't bother you as bad because it's in the back.
So at that point, I just started shaving it. I embraced it.
I'm not far behind you.
It's easier. When I wake up, I have to brush my beard, but not my head.
Well, then it transitioned from up top to down low. Yeah, up top to the sides.
It's a different brush, sure. Getting older is not for the weak.
Oh, did I get this thing working? I think I actually got the thing working finally. I forgot how to do it. Now I just remembered. I got it all on the. I got it on the Twitter going. I'll do some wild stuff. I got the Twitter going. I do got the Twitter going. Yay! We're on Twitter. We're on Twitter and Twitch and Periscope and all of them.
It's funny, you could be pulling my leg and I wouldn't know or not. I've heard of Twitter, but I'm not very technological savvy. I'm all part of it, Jason. I wouldn't even have a Facebook if it wasn't for my life and stuff.
Well, you got it. You own a firm. You got to kind of.
I'm trying.
What is it? About 6 minutes at?
Yeah.
5 minutes. Okay, I don't want to. You know, I'm bad at knowing stuff.
No, I have two main attorneys at the partners, and one of them was Arbiter. It's nice and sweet. Just good luck, bro. The other one says, "Yeah, I've always said you got a face for radio. You'll do great."
That's the joke. You got a face for radio. They always tell me that too.
What, a face for radio?
Yeah. Kind of an insult, actually, but okay.
It really is. We on? Everybody there? Make sure y'all. Well, not us. You got false alarm now. Make sure y'all tune in 9:50 a.m. on your radio dials, or you can always go to the iHeartRadio app and look for 950 KPRC. Check in. Make sure you listen to The Eric Dick Show. We're starting about top of the hour right now, so after the commercials, you will see us on. What's up, Steve? What's up, man? And as always, today's program sponsored by Topo Chico Aqua Mineral Water.
The unpaid sponsor.
As well as Bragg's Naturally Organic Apple Cider Vinegar All Natural Drink. This is the limeade flavor today. It has a little more tartness to there, but it's really good for you. Really helps with your liver. Make sure you get that Bragg's All Natural Apple Cider Vinegar.
Does it really help with
does help with your liver?
Huh.
Hey, Shelly. How y'all doing? Hey, yeah, we're going to talk about voting today. Make sure you get out there. We're going to talk about that, a whole lot of other things today. Real fun show. But as always, call in 713-212-5950, 713-212-5950. Numbers up in the link or the description. But yeah, if you haven't voted, today is a day to vote. You have all day to get out there. Wait in the line, whether it's short, it's long, it's going to be worth it. I'm supposed to say it doesn't matter who you vote for as long as you vote, but it does matter who you vote for. So get out there and vote for the right people. Make sure you vet the candidates and don't just listen to a bunch of nonsense and bullet points and hype. Yes or no for firefighters. Look, I'm torn on the firefighters. Firefighters kind of get what they deserve because they always support the wrong candidates.
That's
but
true.
At the same time, if we don't vote yes for Prop B, then we're never going to force the city to go in there and control their spending. So
you got to vote for Prop B.
Yeah, I'd say vote for Prop B just because it forced the city to actually rein in their spending, so they stop spending hundreds of millions of dollars on art projects, and they go back to the basic city services, which the city's supposed to be about.
Well, not only that, what happens if we stroke out? If we stroke out, I want the firefighters there.
That's true.
Pull me on the EMS. I don't want them having to work a second job over at Chick-fil-A.
Firefighters just don't put out fires. They also are there for EMT, EMS services. If you're stroking out, you're having a hard time, you got an accident, they're usually right there first on the scene to assess the situation. So vote for Prop B.
My dad's retired firefighter.
My dad's retired firefighter too.
It's a tough one to just say to vote for, but
My dad
again,
was at 72.
vote for Prop B today. Vote for Prop B.
Period of time. He never retired at this.
Oh, the special guest we have today is Bo Bowen, attorney and Ninja Warrior. We'll get to that later. But again, y'all tune in. And again, if you have any questions, put them on here. I'll read them and we'll try to address them through the breaks or through the. If you want to call in, again 713-212-5950. Turn down for what?
I'm gonna turn up the monitor. Sorry. Do you have a studio monitor?
We do have a studio monitor. It's over here.
But maybe she got it on quiet. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ask Shannon.
What am I doing? She looks like I'm in trouble already, folks. She gave me the stink
you have
eye.
a call already?
I hope I don't got a call already.
Voter Day in Clear Lake. Let's see.
Tell me, Eric. You better be quiet. You gotta say some stupid stuff.
My sister's
Free hot dogs. So if you're in the Clear Lake area today, y'all make sure y'all swing by the Clear Lake area tailgate party. Shelly Rogers, where's that located? Where can they go for that tailgate party?
She also works for me.
My sister works for me too, man. Small business.
She just completed a paralegal school. So for her, it's a big deal. I'm very proud of her.
Oh, yeah.
Turned herself around, finally settling down, growing up. We mature slowly.
But you mature.
Eventually, I hear that wave right there, man. I'm getting a cowlick right here.
So you might want to look at the criminal. So what happens with PI? Some of the big PI firms, they'll refer after a settlement is like get hit. Then they'll refer them to another lawyer.
And if you haven't voted yet, drop me a message or drop me a line down here, post in this video. Why haven't you voted? What is the hesitancy? What issues are you having deciding between? Maybe I can help you come to a conclusion as to why you feel comfortable going to vote sometime soon. All right, so if you're in the Clear Lake area, Freedman Library, they're having a tailgate party out there. Hot dogs, probably some beverages, water, and great company. And you get to do that all while you're voting. So make sure y'all go down to Freedman Library.
You do it after they get a big settlement.
Yes.
Use the settlement
to fund me. Get the full retainer.
There you go.
Also, we'll talk about this in a minute, but if you have nothing going on right now, you can head over to 3314 Lyons Avenue. Phil Paul Bookstore just opened. Hundreds of thousands of books for $2 and $4. Legal books, medical books, all kinds of books. Go check it out. Phil Paul's always doing things for the community, and now he's opened up a bookstore over in Fifth Ward, and I went by there earlier, and so make sure y'all check that out as
Very
well.
much in the influence of emotion versus just the facts. People make a decision based on.
If there's any topics y'all want to hear myself, Eric Dick, and Bo Bowen discuss today, drop those in there too. We'll try to fit it in. It's a 30-minute show, then we got to cut to the U of H game, but here we go.
Oh no, they're gonna make us go in the air, folks.
After traffic should come here shortly. You know, they've never heard the intro, I don't think. On the live feed?
What do we have on?
Well, when I go on Facebook Live. Because we don't have the monitor going when the intro plays. Yeah, so they'll hear it. You know.
I can turn the monitor on, but I don't hear it in here. It'll kick on in a minute. The audio will kick on.
I want y'all to hear the intro because y'all never heard the intro.
Yeah, the intro is pretty funny.
Okay, we'll talk about the caravan of immigrants. You do immigration law, right?
No, sir. No immigration.
I thought you did every kind of law, man.
Not total law, almost, but not quite.
If they bring cash, he might.
That's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
For enough money, I'll learn it quickly.
For retainers, we might make an exception.
When you've got big problems, you need to have a big, you need Eric Dick,
Oh, my goodness.
insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education.
That's good.
I can't believe that they actually play that on radio. They sit there and they say you need a big Eric Dick.
Hey, it's true. I mean, do you not need someone who's always going to fight in your corner when you're faced with these legal problems?
Absolutely. And that, if you want to get ran over, you don't get an attorney. I mean, even I get an attorney whenever I have a legal problem. No joke. I get traffic tickets. I call the Kubosh. I put a Kubosh on it.
There you go. Because when you're facing problems, especially homeowners, when you're facing problems with the big insurance companies, there's only one person you need to call, and that's Houston homeowners attorney, insurance lawyer, Eric B. Dick. Welcome to the Eric B. Dick Show.
My name is Chris Carmona, joined by Eric B. Dick, and our special guest today is Bo Bowen. Eric,
what up?
There's a lot to talk about today.
There is a lot of juicy stuff. Let's just kind of go into it because we don't have much time. We're getting kicked off a little bit for the U of H show. But right off the bat, let's talk about Prop B with the firefighters. My dad was a firefighter, strongly support the firefighters. In fact, I find it interesting the only people opposing the firefighters are Mayor Turner and big business. Everybody else, you have Kingwood Tea Party, you have Terry Lowry, you have Gary Pollan, you have just the grassroots Republicans, you have the grassroots Democrats, you have independents, all saying,
and that's
we need to
important
take
to
care of
notice.
the firefighters.
You said the grassroots because the grassroots political activists in the city or in the county, they understand what being responsible with your money is. And if people ask me all the time, I know they've asked you, should they vote yes or no on Prop B? And I think we're in agreement that in order to have the city rein in their spending, there's only one way to go on Prop B, and that's vote yes for Prop B.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, every time I've ran for city council, mayor, when I got 11% more than Adrian Garcia and Chris Bell, I did really good, surprisingly. But whenever I ran, it was on a very simple platform, the same platform Rob Mossbecker ran on, the same platform Orlando Sanchez, the same platform Bill King ran on. And that's bring spending to the basics. Public safety, infrastructure, your basic city services. Those are the things you want to spend money on. What you don't want to spend money on is like art projects and those type of things. You don't want to spend it unless you have extra money. But you got to focus on the necessities. Do a good job at it. You know, make sure we have adequate firefighters and police officers, adequate police officers. Make sure our streets are fixed. Those are the things that we have to do as a city, and those are the things we don't necessarily do right. And what this prop does is it forces the city to pay more money to focus more of its resources on public safety, what it should have already been doing in the first place. It's a very good proposition, and the city cannot raise taxes. It's like you get your cake and you can eat it too.
And that's the best part. You can't raise taxes. Pay parity is brought into effect because the firefighters in the city of Houston are making less than across the nation for the same type of market, correct?
Yeah, firefighters, they start off making $27,000 a year. And I just, you know, what I'm always worried about, what I always joke about is if I'm stroking out, I don't want the poor firefighters, you know, they're sleepy because they had to work at Chick-fil-A the day before. And those are serious concerns. Bo, your dad was a firefighter. What do you think?
I have to agree with you. If you want to support the firefighters, you need to support Proposition B.
It's just plain and simple.
Plain and simple. And, you know, one of the things that by supporting this and reining in the city spending, some of the programs that may be cut out is additional funding being sent to the city of Houston public libraries for unnecessary services they're rendering.
That's true.
Let's talk about one of the things that's being controversial right now, and that's of the drag queen hour at some of the city libraries.
Sure. So just kind of a way of background, you know, I'm not against per se the idea of a drag queen hour. I think it's kind of funny. Like my thought is, I mean, why are we doing it necessarily? Why are we using public money for this? And they're saying, no, there's no real public money with it, but there kind of is. The library's kind of advertising it. They're kind of promoting it. They're spending their resources pushing this. And then it kind of gets interesting because you have secular humanism versus non-secular humanism. And these are complicated mumbo-jumbo words.
They sound like it.
They are. Basically, it's the idea that it's like Christian viewpoints of you know, believing marriage is a man and a woman, that being the idea of a religion, and then non-Christian viewpoints. And the point that that you know, you can have these non-Christian viewpoints there pushing this agenda at the library and not be able to have the counterpart there. That's where it's not fair, and that's where I kind of have a problem with it. I think that if you know, people could go there and say, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, this is what we believe, then, you know, it kind of evens the playing field. But there's another thing that really kind of makes me cringe is I have 2 small kiddos, and that's not really something I want to introduce them to if we were going to the library to, you know, get books and stuff like that. I mean, we kind of want to avoid it at that point. I don't really want to start having to explain to my daughters why this guy's dressed up like a girl.
Now, what do you say to the proponents of this hour to say, you know, you choose to go to the public library, and you could always say, you know what, for this hour, I'm not going to go there. should you have to rearrange your schedule to fit into the city of Houston's agenda as it relates to the Drag Queen Story Hour?
I just don't think I don't think it's really fair. And I don't think you should have to look at, the schedule whenever you just want to go to a public place and, learn, teach bring your kids to, the library. I'm fine with it being in a private place. In fact, I'd probably go. I think it's at minimum entertaining. I think it really is entertaining. And I think, it brings, I can see the diversity argument,
Because the mayor has made a diversity argument saying we have a very diverse city. This is just reflective of our culture. This is reflective of our city. And he sees no problem with it, thinks that it's a frivolous lawsuit. It's going to get thrown out.
Well, but the city gets sued a lot of times for what they would consider frivolous stuff, like criminalizing feeding the homeless.
That's
all
true.
All sorts of stuff. Bo, what do you think? What do you think?
I never really thought about the way you put it today, Dick. You're right. I didn't think about my kids being there. When I first heard of it, I was like, yeah, it's kind of humorous. It's a neat approach. I don't really understand why this lawsuit even started, in my humble opinion. I understand that they weren't letting someone else go, and that's what the argument's about. Or was it simply because of the fact that they have the, what was the title you used?
It's secular humanism.
Secular humanism, I guess.
Yeah, and so apparently the impetus of this was that the same type of for a traditional marriage couple to go in there and have a story time was denied when the Drag Queen Hour was actually given a clearance to go ahead. And
this is some really juicy stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to get right back in it.
We're good because there are some alternatives to a public library. We'll talk about that when we come back from the break as well.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
We'll be back. Eric Dick Show. Thanks, folks.
Roseanne, exactly. That's what we've been saying. Roseanne, exactly. That's the thing, is that equal time isn't being given to all types of diversity. Since a diverse city, even traditional married couples, if they want to go in there, they're being denied. So that's why the lawsuit was initiated. So it's not really a thing about against Drag Queen Story Hour. It's more of the equal application of the City of Houston Library rules. So, but going back to your point on the EMS, yes, it is. I mean, the firefighters do provide emergency medical treatment,
and also we got a good group.
So they're tied into that somehow. Now, should there be a specific EMT team? Most counties, I think they do have that, but City of Houston firefighters are part of EMT.
Very much so.
Yeah.
First responders.
Yeah. So
we're doing a lot more than the firefighters. The ambulance people should pay because of that.
Yeah. When the city they make money off the ambulance. Because remember, they trained about 2010 or 11, they jumped the ambulance fee. So if you had to actually get a fee to get up there to come service you for a reason, I mean, they went from I think $250 to like $500 or $600.
And they're making money.
Yeah.
One of the few claims you can't negotiate with quick inventory.
That's right. I'll tell you what's kind of effed up the most is now you have like the police officers on one side fighting with the firefighters, and you shouldn't.
Guns and hoses have always been at each other.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be at each other's throat. I don't think that they haven't been like this, because there's been plenty of times where I've heard firefighters like they get in trouble and police officers like, you guys are just dumb, just move on, and that type of stuff, which it shouldn't really be happening. But my point is that those organizations have historically got along.
They have, but now they're forced to be pit against each other. But here's the thing, man: the firefighters have typically always gone with liberal candidates.
So has the police officers.
The police officers have a more conservative scorecard. I'm not saying it's a very conservative scorecard.
You're right,
but
I'm not saying they.
Overall, the firefighters and the firefighter union,
they did think they're brave.
They have entrusted a lot to this
have.
mayor, to this city council. So
they spend a lot of energy.
That's why it's like the sympathy level is not really all there. But so how does the fire department transfer you to the hospital if you need emergency care? They come out there with ambulances. The Houston Fire Department has ambulances. They don't just have fire trucks. They actually have ambulances.
And rescue trucks.
Yeah.
And it's special. Their own special kind of welfare departments where people are doing high-rise rescues and stuff.
Yeah, they don't just put you on a ladder and say, all right, come on, we're taking you to the hospital. Although that would be entertaining to see and watch.
Are they sprayed down with the hose a little bit? You thirsty?
I see blood. Let's spray it down.
It's washed it off. You're good. Oh, man.
What's redundant? What part is having a firefighter? The fire department is not needed? Well, who's going to put out the fires?
We definitely need the fire department. Oh.
They do multiple things.
How do you not need the fire department? I don't get it. I don't get it, Chris. How do you not need the fire department?
I don't know. I guess the fire department can only do fires and should not be in the business of medical necessities or medical attention.
Then what do you do when you stroke out? You better get Sarah jumping in the car, driving you to the hospital. You stroke it out. Don't call 911. They don't care.
Or you go to private industry and private entities for your emergency medical needs. I don't know. But if y'all have any type of suggestion or input on that, 713-212-5950. Dick, when we left off, we were talking about the city of Houston and their libraries. And well, it's going to be interesting to see how this lawsuit plays out. But if people don't feel comfortable going to the library now and they want to read some books, where can they go today that's having their grand opening?
Philip Paul Bryant's bookstore, PPB. Philip blows me away with his level of enterprise. That guy, he has so many different businesses, and they're all fascinating businesses. He has his bookstore that's just opening, and books are just dirt cheap, and it's a great chance. This is kind of like a little hidden gem that you want to support, because you can go get books $2, $3 that you normally would pay $5, $6, $10 somewhere else.
There's some $20 books. I was there earlier. Again, it's 3314 Lyons Avenue. It's called Phil Paul Books. Great opening today. They have kids' books for $2, over 15,000 books for under $4. And if you want a great opportunity to get some books for real cheap and support the community at the same time, check that place out.
Philip does a lot of cool stuff. He does the backpack to Fifth Ward every year, where you have a lot of great family law judges that are up for re-election, like your Sherry Dean, all those folks.
Alicia Franklin.
There.
James Lamborghino. And that's the thing. Voting is taking place right now. If you have not voted, you still have this weekend and as well as next week in the Friday at 7 p.m. to go out and early vote in Harris County. There's rumors there's a lot of irregularities going on this year, and it's more or less people are saying, you know what are you going to do about it? I'm going in. I don't care if I have ID. I don't care if somebody's helping me vote. What are you going to do to stop me? What are they going to do to stop irregular voting and voter fraud?
Not look at the party because there's too much corruption. One thing I wanted to talk about, because there's this fast and furious show here, is I saw HRBC's endorsements, and I'm just appalled. This organization, who the chairman is the financial chair of the Harris County Republican Party, it's endorsing Democrats, and not only is it endorsing Democrats, it's kind of a sexist organization. This is a big business organization. They're refusing to endorse Erin Swanson, who's this young gal. She ousted a corrupt incumbent, Teresa Chang, who's just an incompetent judge. And they're so mad at her for doing that. And they're mad that she's a young, attractive woman. They are not endorsing her. And what I find just so appalling is I'm convinced that if she was a man, they would endorse her. But for her being a female, being a young female, they aren't endorsing her. They think, this is what I feel, is they think that because she's a woman, she's not capable to be a judge at that age. And it's just wrong.
So
Is it
this is another instance of another conservative, quote unquote, conservative group endorsing Democrats, kind of in line with what Ed Emmett has done before, correct?
Well, it's much worse than this because these are people that are in power in the local Republican Party, and there's a lot of this is just big business just buying stuff. When they cry about pay for play and Terry Lowry, who's not pay for play by the way, they cry about that. Big business does it all the time. They pour hundreds of thousands of dollars. I remember there was a chairman race with the local Republican Party. They spent $500,000, and the person that ran against Mr. Their incumbent spent $5,000. Barely lost that race. Just barely lost.
Too much money being wasted right there in local politics. But again, if y'all haven't voted yet, get out there. Vote. Voting is important. Elections matter. So vote early, vote often.
Let's go to our guest.
Yeah, today's guest speaker we have today in the studio is Houston local attorney Bo Bowen.
Yes, sir. Hi. Thank you all for having me.
And so, Bo, interesting background you have. You are former military.
Yes, sir. Navy.
And then currently you are in the process of training to become an American Ninja Warrior.
Which is awesome. You're American Ninja Lawyer.
Yeah, and that should be your new marketing gimmick right there. You can pay Dick the residuals on that. But what does a lawyer, someone who has, you have two daughters, right?
Yes, sir. 8 and 3. Edwin and Karis. Hey, girls.
There you go. Hope they're listening. So a full-time dad, full-time attorney. How do you make time, and why would you want to make time to become the next American Ninja Warrior?
For me, it's mainly getting the time with my family. Me and my daughters have daughter date nights up there at Iron Sports Gym off of 1916 Cutting Road, which is where all the top ninjas train here in Houston. There's nothing better than having your daughters tied off to you, hanging from the ceiling. You're the one letting them down. You're the belay man. That trust, that bonding, you can't get anywhere else.
Hey, so can you do ninja rolls, like true ninja rolls, where you back it up and then just do a backflip, front flip?
I can now do a forward roll, not a backflip just yet. I'm still mastering the Lachey. That's where you take your body and you throw yourself forward and you catch things. I'm still at the very, very basic levels. I'm no Daniel Gill yet.
And Daniel Gill is a local legend, right?
Yes, sir. He is by far the #1 competitor right now for these Americans in Ninja Warrior.
Okay,
he trains at the same gym.
It's just amazing that you have this family lawyer by day, American Ninja by night. And it's really
like
awesome.
a superhero.
It is a superhero. It's a crime fighter. And during the day, he's helping people out, with their will, fights,
fight over property, fight over division of the kids. Property, everything. So if you're not fighting corruption in the courtroom, you're not fighting against the people outside of the courtroom. You're probably in your office taking in clients, right?
Yes, sir. A lot of client consultation.
So what is the biggest thing you're seeing, at least in the family law arena, of other than divorces? Like, what are people facing right now in the community? What's ailing them, and why are they coming to see you?
Well, the majority of them are coming because unfortunately, the family is broken down. The husband and wife relationship has fallen to the wayside. The more problem I see is they're waiting too long to seek an attorney. They're trying to do it themselves. They get the paperwork offline. Then they waste all that time initiating it. They have to pay us to fix everything, and then the process takes that much longer. And of course, through that period of time, they're fighting more, they're losing more instead of trying to work together. It's best to come in sometimes, rip that Band-Aid off, and then learn how to co-parent. That squabbling in between is what really causes those relationships to fail. And I'm talking about the children. They're the ones that suffer this whole time.
It also causes resentment and, people just fighting over all that time. So on the flip side, isn't someone having a wedding today? Or
that is correct. My baby sister's having her wedding shower today. Her name is Joanna Bowen, soon to be Joanna Sanders. She finally found the man of her dreams. You know who I'm talking to, Marty. You're a lucky man. And I hope they're listening. I love you.
Melissa
Love you.
Yeah, Melissa Smith's getting married too at the board that I'm at. Congratulations, Melissa. So if people wanted to contact your law firm, how would they do that, Bo?
The best way to reach us is 713-574-7777. That main line again is 713-574-7777. You can also find us on the web at www.bowen, BOWENLF, as in lawfirm.com.
Now, Bo, I always try to throw out questions for our guests, legal questions that are out of the ordinary. Let me kick this one to you. So you have a couple that have been together for about 5 to 7 years, right? But each one is currently married to someone else, but their spouses are somewhere else, right? So over this 5 or 7 years, they've acquired a purchase of a home. They've been living in that home. They break up, but they can't do anything about that, or can they, since they're still technically married to other people? What's the remedy on that? How does someone not get kicked out of the house? How do they fight over the house? Who stays in the house? What do you think, Bo?
So making sure we have two people who are married, and then they break up and they get with other people and they buy new property?
Yes.
Okay, well, unfortunately in Texas, you can't do more than one marriage. It's called bigamy. So you can't have a new marriage until the first one is ended. So if you're then buying property together as a married couple to someone else, that property is still considered community property. So they would have our half, and the other side would then have half, meaning their spouse they're currently married to. Because as soon as you buy anything when you're married, again, after the marriage date, whether you leave them, there's no legal separation in Texas.
And Chris is taking notes here because actually those people came to his office yesterday.
They called me yesterday. I'm trying to get a good answer for them. But the thing is, and that's the thing is, so now, whether you wanted to or not, if this was a secret affair for 5 or 7 years, are they going to have to now bring in those spouses they were keeping secret to try to finally get rid of this property?
Yes, sir, especially their names on it. It's going to make it difficult. I encourage you to get them all together, reach inside a sort of settlement, see what everyone wants. Try to get them to work together. Otherwise, this is going to be in court.
So, and also, is it a formal marriage or is it a common law marriage? Because, common law is a little bit interesting than it is in a formal marriage.
Well, common law or informal marriages, as defined out in statute, the number one thing you have to look at is, was there an agreement between the parties? If the parties had an agreement to be married, we're done. They're going to say it and move on.
But isn't there a statute of limitations, or is there some type of after some point in time with the common law marriage, is it not presumed, or is there some type of?
No, sir. You can be together for 100 years, together for 2 years. It really depends on the parties themselves and the totality of the circumstances. Number one being the agreement amongst the parties to be married.
And then they have to also do something to show the agreement, usually like a ring or something like that.
Hold themselves out is another big one. That they file income tax together and hold themselves as married to a government agency. That's a good indication they were married. How they introduce themselves to other parties as well. If they're at the supermarket, hey, this is my wife, Allison. They just held themselves out as being a married couple. If the wife doesn't say anything, you should be assuming they're married, and so will everyone else, including the court.
And so if they want to go ahead and wind down that marriage, even though it's considered common law, they still have to go through the formal process of a divorce at that point, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
And if they go to the divorce and they go through mediation and they get an MSA, a mediated settlement agreement, yes, sir, is that full and final in the state of Texas?
Yes, sir. I went to the in-race definitely is the case. All you want to read with that. It has made mediations powerful. It is irrevocable once it's signed. And in fact, another good Republican judge, Judge Farr, he got overruled on the case Minks versus Minks, where the parties themselves came up to the bench and both of them wanted to revocate or reject the MSA. Court of Appeal said no. You're stuck with it. Enforce it.
There you are.
That's tough.
Be careful when you go to mediation, and don't try to back out. Be serious.
And if you go through mediation for any type of homeowners claims and it's unsuccessful, or if you go through the appraisal process and it's unsuccessful, or you go through arbitration and it's not binding, well, you can always hire a Dick. That's Eric B. Dick, Texas and Houston's homeowners insurance attorney. Eric, how's it going over in the insurance field right now? Any cases coming up?
Oh, there's a lot of cases, man. I've represented a whole ton of people from Hurricane Harvey, and what I've been shocked with is the majority of the people I've represented, they've been underpaid. And when I say the majority, like I've represented thousands of people, and it's just sad seeing, how the level of people have been underpaid. Some of them have been underpaid like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. So I do everything I can to get them paid right. Folks, this has been a good time. I'm going to have to see you next week. They're cutting me off. They're saying no more free advice. Eric, you've given out too much free legal advice. No more. Cut it off.
It's because Eric Dick will protect you in the fight against homeowners insurance or any type of insurance company. Make sure you call Eric B. Dick at the Dick Law Firm. Thanks to our guest, Bo Bowen. Thanks, producer Shannon. I'm Chris Carmona. Eric Dick, take us away.
Thanks, folks. See you next week. Thank you, producer Shannon. Bye-bye, folks. We're gone. Thanks, guys, for listening. We're gone. Hope I didn't get in too much trouble.
Roseanne, thanks for the great contribution.
Hope I didn't get in too much trouble, folks. You have a good one.
Thanks for your contribution as well. Shelly Rogers, thank you for your contribution again.
Breaking the law, one meal at a time, feeding the homeless.
It is morally wrong to make it a crime to give food.
A Houston man who feeds the homeless because of his faith is suing the city, challenging the established charitable feeding ban. The often debated ordinance has banned sharing food in public groups of more than 5 people without city permission since 2012.
The city says you can give food to 5 people, not 6. What are you supposed to tell the 6th person? I met my quota today?
The city wants to dismiss Philip Paul Bryant's lawsuit.
That's a crime? What does this world come to? It's a sad day whenever trying to prevent a fellow human from starving is a crime.
The city says the ordinance aims to curb trespassing and littering, both of which were already prohibited in the municipal code prior to the passing of the ordinance. While some Houstonians are in support of the lawsuit,
I really hope he wins his case, and I really hope they lift those sanctions so we can be able to give more to the needy.
So if you're willing to help more than 5 homeless people, you should be able to do that.
some even challenge the city's support of their citizens.
The city isn't going to take care of their homeless people as their people. Somebody got to take care of them. So why can't we take care of them?
A question Houstonians will continue to ask as long as the ban remains.
Hi, this is Eric Dick, and I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
A local pastor is fed up, and he's challenging the Houston homeless feeding ordinance.
And the city requires you to get a permit if you are going to share food. He can't get a permit because he doesn't know where he's going to share food.
Philip Paul Bryant regularly keeps cans of tuna and water bottles in his car to hand out to homeless people, but under the current city ordinance, he's breaking the law. His attorney says Bryant does this because his faith teaches him to help the less fortunate.
This law that's in place, it's a mean-spirited law. It's against, charity. It's against kindness. It's against doing the right thing.
Eric Dick says they plan to fight this till the mayor and city officials overturn what some believe is a misguided ordinance.
A Houstonian claiming his religious freedom is being denied might soon see his lawsuit against the city dismissed.
And it appeared that Judge Kyle Carter was thinking about dismissing the case, saying that Philip doesn't have standing.
Philip Paul Bryant filed a lawsuit in 2017 claiming his religious rights to charitable giving were being infringed upon by a 2012 Houston Feeding the Homeless ordinance. In the city of Houston, you can give 5 homeless people a sandwich, but that 6th sandwich, that's the one that will cost you.
Could be fined $500 to $2,000, or you could even take the risk with going to jail.
According to his attorney, Eric Dick, Bryant's case may not find a home in Harris County Civil Court.
They're saying that my client, he waited over a year to file a lawsuit since he found out about the law. If people just found out about the law, and they want to sue the city for this illegal act, I'm happy to represent them for free. I think that it's a mean world whenever acts of charity are criminal.
To be fair, the ordinance doesn't outright ban the giving of food to the homeless. It just creates a lot of hurdles to jump through to do it lawfully.
My children are a big deal in this, and teaching them how to give to the community. If they want to make 10 sack lunches and go hand them around downtown Houston, I shouldn't have to go to my government office in order to obtain permission just to give those sandwiches.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. A good Samaritan shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness.
Feeding rocks, because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks, you shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks, you can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks, help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition. www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
Property damage from Hurricane Harvey is devastating. That pain has been made worse by your insurance company underpaying or outright denying your claim, sometimes without even inspecting your home. I'm attorney Eric Dick, and it's my job to make insurance companies accountable. If you feel you've been taken advantage of by a greedy insurance company, call me today at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. That's 833-3HARVEY. Call me right now.